اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Honorable Rector of IUM, Tan Sri Zulkifli Abdul Razak, respected event partners, Dr. Muhammad Irwan Arifin, President of ASA, Brother Muhyiddin Abdul Qadir bin Muhammad Iqbal, fondly known as Brodin, President of PME, President Kesatuan Kaki Tangan IUM Kurnia, Brother Saufi Azran bin Muhammad Tamjiz Azran, President Kesatuan Kaki Tangan Sungan 1 IUM, Brother Muhammad Yazid bin Ahmad. Our Futures Literacy Workshop course leaders from Maya, Dr. Anisa Abdullah and Brother Shakil Ahmad, welcome. They're overseas. It's really late for Shakil now. I welcome all of you to our Futures Literacy Workshop for staff members from IUM on this blessed Friday morning, inshallah, and full of barakah in the holy month of Ramadan. May Allah bless us. And can I please request that we all recite the Kitab Surah Al-Fatiha.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Surah. Alhamdulillah. I think I will update everybody on the agenda slightly later because I don't want to take time from Tan Sri Zulkifli. He's got a really busy schedule. So without further ado, it's a privilege to now call upon our Honorable Rector Tan Sri Zulkifli to deliver his opening remarks.
Okay, thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu syafil anbiya mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Let us praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving this opportunity to meet again together, although in a virtual sense, but nevertheless, I think that the meeting of minds, I think, is more important than just to be physically together. I would like to acknowledge, first of all, this attempt of trying to cascade down future literacy is an attempt that the university is trying very, very seriously so that everybody will understand what futures is all about, a very important subject which is relatively new to most of us. And to make it work, therefore, we need to understand this very well. And I'm indeed very delighted to find out that the session with the students, although I was there briefly, but the outcome apparently it seems to be very, very useful. And I think the words has gone out that this is something that we need to get in touch with and learn how to embrace it so that it becomes not only part and parcel of the university's attempt to move forward, but can also be individualized. Students particularly can also see how they can create their quote-unquote own future with minimal sort of a dislocation as possible now that you understand how to navigate the future, as it were. Today, alhamdulillah, I think we are getting a broader sort of spectrum. And for the first time, I think these four very vital association that involves the academic, the administrators, the implementers, and also the executioners of the university in the name of ASA, led by Dr. Irwan, PMA, which is the administrators, led by Brother Brodin. That's his popular name. I even forgot what his official name is all about. And the other one is Brother Saufi from Kurnia, and also Brother Yazid for Kesatu. For the first time, I think staff are gathered together to talk about the future of the university. This is, I think, a historical landmark. Certainly, I think we want everybody to be on board because the university is owned by everybody else, all of us, yeah? And therefore we have a stake on it. It is not just a top management, even the word top management is a misnomer, I think. It's everybody's university, and I hope this will create a platform and a permanent one where we begin to start to communicate and understand where our aspirations are. Certainly, different people have different aspirations, the academic, the administrators, the implementers, they have different aspirations, but there must be a common thread that passes through. And this is what we are trying to capitalize so that everybody can understand which direction that we are going and how do we actually want to execute it with minimal disruption as possible. So for that, I want to thank the organizer, and in particular Mia. I think you have kind of a volunteered, Anissa, on a discounted price, I was told, to get this. But I really value this, and not only that you are part of UIAM at one time, so you know what this university is all about, what are the internal problems that we need to put right. And I think that's the value that you bring. And I hope we can do this as quickly as possible, because time is not on our side. Yeah? And I've been introduced just recently to Brother Shakil. Thank you so much. I really like your methods of the 5 cards that you put out. I don't know whether you're going to do this again today. It looks it's very effective on a virtual site, that people gather together, and speak about the same thing together. So to both of you, thank you very much for facilitating this and making it happen. And certainly the panelists, Haniki, Faiz, Noor, Siti Zainab, and also Dr. Murni, thank you very much for your time. Certainly you are representing a group of people that is also very significant for the university. So together, I think we will try to put our best foot forward. Let's hope that this is the first attempt that would encourage people to come on board and to make future literacy as part and parcel of the systematic thinking in an IUM, so that we can move forward. We lead the way, and inshallah lead the world in the near future, as far as futures is concerned. I would like to also acknowledge this forum. The title is something that I like, a joy of working. Sometimes when you talk about working, it's always what is the word? The chores. Everybody says, "Oh, why do I need to work today?" But I guess if you treat work in the right perspective, you long to go to work. And I think most of us experience this. When we are locked down for the first 3 days, you kind of enjoyed it. But the 4th day, you might say, why can't I go to work again? So I think you must have the right attitude, the right perspective, and the right purpose for what working is all about. Then all of us will enjoy it if we get the barakah of Allah SWT at the same time, and make whatever useful knowledge that we've got for implementation, and make work as part and parcel of leisure, as it were, and it's no longer a chore for all of us. So this session today has a very great meaning to me, and I hope we will achieve this in the time allocated. I will be with you as much as I could. Otherwise, I will still keep track, so that this will be part and parcel of the final resolution of Futures 2040 for the university, taking everybody on board, taking the ideas on board, so that then this becomes our own wish to move forward, rather than a certain individual or a certain group of people. But no, this will be the IUM way to move forward. So on that note, let me thank you from the bottom of my heart. I certainly feel this is an occasion to celebrate. And I am also very convinced that at the end of the day, we will arrive at the point we come with the right attitude, the right niyat, and of course, the right effort to put in place. So thanks, Zarina, for this, making it happen. And let's dua on this Blessed Friday that everything will fall in place and we get the maximum of all the things that we put in today and in the future to come. So wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And thank you very much.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ameen to the dua. And thank you very much for the remarks and the guidance and the inspiration and setting us on track with regards to intentions and why we are all here. Please allow me just a few minutes to share with all of you what will take place this morning. Right after this, Dr. Anissa Abdullah, the co-founder of Maya, and she is championing Futures Literacy. She will introduce Futures Thinking to the staff of IUM in a very simple way. And she's very skilled at this, mashallah. And she also has games in store for all of you. So please stay on your toes and get ready to respond in the chat function. There's a chat function, And when she throws up questions or the game starts, try very hard to try and type answers there. And after that, after Dr. Anissa and Brother Shakil from Maya, they're all not in Malaysia right now. One's in the Dhaka, one's in Taiwan. Later at 10:15, there's going to be an exciting forum led by Associate Professor Dr. Hanihi and his esteemed panelists on the working culture of IUM, the joy of working together. I will tell you more about that when the time comes. Dr. Anissa Abdullah, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Zarina, and thank you, Tan Sri Zul, for including us. We are very happy to be on this trip, to be on this journey with IIUM towards working towards a better future for everyone. And so without further ado, I would like to begin our session. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And let me share my screen. Hold shift multiple screens. Okay. Right. Why is this here? I'm supposed to share the other screen. Okay. Right. Okay. So welcome to Futures Literacy. And today's our discussion is going to be focusing around the joy of working together. Just a very brief introduction of us as a team. We are a collective of educators. We came together, just the four of us as friends. We came together sometime last year when the lockdown happened. And we were thinking how we can help people process all that we're going through, all that we're experiencing. Because I was feeling a bit overwhelmed with, what was going on, the very uncertain, the uncertain nature of our future. We can't travel anymore. We are, on a quick lockdown, and we suddenly have to shift everything, teaching online, working from home, no more traveling, no more shopping, no more groceries, everything we have to wait for delivery to come to our door. And it was just a bit overwhelming for me. And I thought perhaps there are a lot of other people out there who was feeling the same way. And then I call up my friends, I call up Shakil, I call up Sherman, I call up Adam, and ask them if they would like to join me in working together, using what we know, helping people process, to process what they're going through, to be able to navigate all these uncertainties and think about, how we can ride the storm together. And this is how we started. The four of us started this Maya. May all inspire all. And then we were joined by Jessica and also Mauricio Hernandez. Both of them are in Mexico. And both of them are working really hard, doing the same thing as we do for Mexico City and their hometown. So this is how we got together. And we hoped that we could also, do something for you, for IIUM. And we want to use this workshop to do a very quick introduction to what Futures Literacy is, and in a very light-hearted way, and hope that it'll be fun too. Okay, so let's begin. And I would like to begin the session with metaphors. And metaphors are powerful because when you talk about something like happy, like I feel happy, like I'm eating some ice cream. Oh, sorry, this is Ramadan. I'm not supposed to talk about eating ice cream. Okay, I'm happy, like I'm dancing. I feel happy as if I'm dancing. So like the dance makes you feel, gives you an understanding of how that feeling is, what kind of happiness you're feeling. So metaphor is actually a very powerful words to be able to describe a feeling. At the same time, gives you a visual and a feel of what is going on in your head, because sometimes it's difficult for us to tell and say what we want to, how we want to describe how we feel. So yeah, so I'm going to use some metaphors for us to describe how we think of the future. So let's start. And the first one is, the future is a great roller coaster on a moonless night. So what do you think of when you hear riding on a roller coaster on a moonless night? How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel, like riding on a roller coaster on a moonless night? Yeah. Would you like to give some suggestion on how you feel when you ride on a roller coaster trail? Thank you, Mizan. Any more ideas? How do you feel riding roller coaster on a moonless night? Scary, dizzy, yes. Moonless, right? Moonless means it's totally dark. And imagine roller coaster, what does it feel? You're going down somewhere very fast and not seeing where you're going. So how does it make you feel? Yeah, thrill, scary, uncertain, yes, anxious. Some people will be excited. Some people love it, love the speed, love the craziness, the wind in your hair and not knowing where you're going. Yeah, precisely that. Okay, then we have the next metaphor. Adrenaline, yes, Ida, thank you. And then the next metaphor is a mighty river. The future is a mighty river. Imagine you in one of those kayaks going down this river, and you see this current, and you see those boulders right in the middle, and you're approaching it. How does it make you feel? Again, adrenaline, isn't it? Yeah, excited. It's very challenging, yes. Excited. There's no control, yeah. Fun, yes. Bumpy, yes. Yes. So, but if you were to think about this and the roller coaster, which will give you a slightly more control, do you think on the mighty river will give you slightly more control than on a roller coaster? Mighty river get you more control. Yeah, because you can see, yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Robita. Thank you, Muhammad Irwan and Mizan. Yes, that's true. So comparatively, just now on the moonless riding a roller coaster on a moonless night, you're like totally flying in the dark, right? But on whitewater rafting, yes, it's fast, it's exciting, but you kind of have some pedal, on your kayak. You can still go to the left or go to the right, a little bit to avoid some of the boulders, but you're going along with the current, you're going down the river one direction, right? Yes, yes, Muhammad Irwan, we navigate the boat rather than the roller coaster that is controlled by the others. Yes, that's really good. Exactly my point. Thank you. And okay, next slide. So the next metaphor is the great ocean. Imagine you sailing in the great ocean. How does it make you feel? Nervous? Why nervous? Fadila, why nervous? Riyazat, adventurous? Why adventurous? Scary, just you and the big nature. Yes, so big, so wide, expensive. You can't see. Yes, Tawakal, seasick. Yes, curious to explore new things. Yes, see the great ocean is so wide, so big. Nobody's gonna give you, okay, this is one way road, and endless and bottomless. Yes, seasick. Yes, it's so funny. More uncertainty, but more freedom. Yes, you could drown. Yes, very much so. If you're not prepared for it, you will drown. And definitely adventurous because there's so much opportunity out there, right? You can do anything you want, and there's no specific direction. There's no one-way street going down. Like the river, you are going down the river. There's only one direction. Yes, you can navigate, but you're going down one direction. On a roller coaster, your direction has been predetermined by the creator of the roller coaster. That means the engineer will tell you how fast you're going, where you're going, how long your journey will be. But on the mighty ocean, you're open to anything and everything at all. There's no specific direction. You chart your own direction. You go where you want to go. Not sure where to direct the boat to Haila. Yeah, but you if you don't know where to go, just go, because the sea is open. So there are lots of opportunities. Big waves, yes, big waves that could mean what? Big waves could mean big challenges and also big opportunities. Yes, Thomas, yeah, that's so true, right? So isn't it exciting? Okay, so the next one, the next metaphor. And the future is a rolling dice. The future is a rolling dice. What do you think? The future is a rolling dice. Yeah, can I ask you to share your chat with all the attendees? Click on the chat on the two. You know, now you see when you're writing on a chat box, you're writing to the panelists. Can I ask you to click to panelists and attendees, that everyone can read it? Okay. Yes, Ida said you have to accept what is given once you roll the dice. Gamble, haha, big wins. Gambling with life. I'm not asking you to gamble. This is totally not halal. When we say a roll of dice means you're leaving everything to whatever happens, right? Left to luck, really uncertain. You have got, you know, if you're lucky, you get it, you do well. If you're not lucky, you're not doing well. Yes, predetermined possibilities. Yeah. Yes, that represents Las Vegas. That represents gambling, which is bad. But are you going to gamble your life? Are you going to, you know, the meaning of it? Are you going to gamble away your life? Are you going to like sit there and just, okay, yeah, whatever, I'll just do it? You know, like, are you not going to do some planning? Yeah, I don't like rolling dice because I can't put in any effort. Yes, Muhammad Irfan, that's precisely it. Yeah. The powers that determine situation, we make the best out of it. We can see it that way too. Sometimes some things we don't have any control, so therefore we just have to make the best effort out of a situation. Right? Yes, yes, that's good. Must spend it. Yes, it. Very good. Okay, so that's awesome. Now that we have done a quick discussion about some of the 4 metaphors, and I must confess, this is not mine, okay? These metaphors were taken out from a book. It's called The Metaphors for the Future, a guide to future-oriented education, written by Kaufman in 1976. So now that you know, we have discussed the 4 metaphors, can I ask you on your chat box, how do you see your future? Can you choose one? And write a short note saying why you chose that, right? If you chose riding a roller coaster on a moonless night, why? Say, I'm riding on a roller coaster because. So choose your metaphor and say why you chose it. Okay, we have like 3 minutes to do this. I'm gonna time us. Yeah, 3 minutes to do this very quickly. Just a very quick one. Choose your metaphor. Choose your metaphor. Choose a 4 metaphor here, Yazid, the one on the screen, right? And why you choose it. Great ocean, I'm navigating on an uncharted waters with the hope that I will reach the best destination. Nice. A mighty river, as you can navigate and chosen the easiest path, you can minimize risk. Okay. Mighty rivers love the challenges and the adventure. Yes. River and rolling dice together. Yes, why not? Even though I'm a thalassophobia. Okay, that means you're afraid of the ocean. Okay, that's a mouthful. Roller coaster, the end of destination is known. We are safe generally, but okay, that's a very interesting take on it. Yeah, full of learning experience, but you're going straight down to one direction. Okay, very good. Excellent. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Shakil, the great ocean, so many possibilities, that at least one way to get you there. Yeah, roller coaster is fun, thrill, but it's full of fun. Yeah, okay. Yeah, great ocean, even though we're struggling through boundaries, at the end, we will reach the destination. Robita, yes, very good. The future is a great ocean, open opportunities. Yes, you know, for businesses, we always want to see opportunities for, you know, not just businesses, for personal development, for schools, for us as students, for us as an employee. How do we, you know, look at things with the eyes, with an eye for opportunity, right? Very good. I choose the mighty river as I plan to navigate on a boat. What what to think in critical situations. That's a good explanation for that too. Yeah. So some people much prefer they know exactly where they're going, so they want to see a clear direction. Some people want other people to help them get through to what they're doing, so they want some help, a scaffolding or someone to design the whole route for them, the whole journey for them, as if you're on a roller coaster. And some would prefer the mighty ocean because you're open to such a vast opportunities, right? And the rolling dice, that will be very, very controversial for some because you're like leaving everything to chance and, not taking enough responsibility. Yeah. Very good. Thank you so much. I am very impressed with your participation. Very good. Ocean roller coaster can muntah. Okay. Very good. One last minute for you to chime in. One more minute. One more minute. Mighty River, we can work together to the future. Okay. You see how many of us are here, and all of us we are living in the same space, right? And we are working for IAUM, but we have a very different view of the future and what that metaphor means to you. And that's so interesting. And it's also a part of understanding that how different people will have a different perspective or how they perceive the future would be. And I think the first step to work together, to understand each other, is to know how they see things. So now among us, all of us here in this group, those who have participated has offered, what they're actually seeing. And to better understand the person next to you is really to understand what's going on in the head, how they see the future. And if you have a time or space for conversation, you can actually use this and say, oh yeah, this is how you see the future. Oh, that's interesting. You kind of get to know each other so much better. And I think that's the first step to be working together, to be colleagues, is to understand each other, how we see things. Thank you so much. And that's the end of our very first activity. And so I would like to pass this to Shakil. Shakil is our co-founder. And I forgot to say, the 4 co-founders of Maya is actually people who have an infinity towards helping the younger generation. So Shakil, over to you. Give a short intro to yourself. And over to you. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Anisa. I'm Shakil Ahmed. As was mentioned, I will usually introduce myself as an educator, a futurist, and a storyteller. And currently, I'm working at Human Academy in Bangladesh, where our work consists of working with people who are leaders who are working to address poverty and social justice across different sectors, and try to build community, build trust among these leaders, so that we can all work on the complex challenges within our country and beyond. And of course, wherever I go, future thinking is something that I got exposed to maybe around 9 years ago in 2012. And ever since then, I think I've been using future thinking processes in my own organization, but also helping other individuals, companies, government to help them think about the future as well. So yeah, Anisa. So I think we'll move on to this particular activity. Anisa, would you be able to share the screen? Or all right. Thank you. Okay. So what we're gonna do in a bit, we're gonna play this game called All of Our Futures. It's a small game, a quick game that we kind of developed within Maya itself, and it's a very simple game. And I think even before we go into the game itself, just give you a short briefing on the nature of this game, right? So usually when we think about the future, when we talk about whichever year it is, whether it's 2040 or 50 or 60, we tend to use lofty statements to think about the future, right? So for example, Sometimes we will say words like, okay, in the future, I want people to be empowered or emancipated, or I want equity to be achieved, or I want the quality of education or the quality of health to be achieved, or the world will be poverty free. But sometimes, like, it's also important at the same time, even as we say these statements, that what will the future actually look like on a visible level, right? Or what would it feel like? What would it smell like? What would it taste like, right? Like how does it feel to breathe in the future, right? Like what would the stories of the future be like? So we try to create a card game called All of Our Futures to rapidly create all these possible different stories of living in the future. And the game is pretty simple, right? It's meant to be rapid. It's meant to promote creativity and divergent thinking. The idea that we can quickly get our juices flowing, so that when we're thinking about the future, right, that we're very open to what the possibilities are, right? And I think there's a particular quote by Jim Dater that any useful statement about the future should appear to be ridiculous, right? And the hope is that it's okay that if sometimes it's a little funny, it's a little weird, but it's something. But even in the funniness and the strangeness of a future, we might be able to get something insightful and interesting. So let's see what the game looks like. Anissa, you can go to the game board itself.
Mhm.
So what Anissa is going to do right now, she's going to share 5 cards with us, right? It's from a deck of, and it's very random. So I'll just read out what the cards say, if you can see. So the first card is Zero Waste World. Second, Upcycle Waste Materials. A third is Recession. A fourth is Robot Priests. And a fifth is Robots at Home. So what we're going to do right now, I mean, right now, it's just going to be a sample round. I'm going to create a story with these 5 cards. And when we are going to play this game, what we're going to do is we're going to think of a story and write it into the chat, right? But for example, what could be a story? What could a story be? So for example, I'm from Bangladesh. I can say, okay, in the year 2050, when I went, like Ramadan was over, and I went to the mosque, and I found that there were robot priests, robot imams to also greet me. There were robots at home helping me out to prepare the food for the festivities, and of course, thankfully, like, there's no more waste in this future. It's a zero waste world. Like whatever waste that we have, we now upcycle it into better materials, and it's really like this sort of thinking of recycling waste has really created more opportunities, so that we don't go through a recession anymore. So you can see that this is a very random story, that this was not prepared. I just made it up on the fly, right? It can be anything, but the idea is to like really think about a possible scenario and just write it into the chat, right? So any story, as long as you have the 5 cards in that story, right, that you can make up. And of course, the story can be inspiring, it can be positive, it can be negative. It's really up to you. But any story that you want to write about, you can do it. So we're gonna do a new set of cards so that you can make a story yourself, and we'll give you 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes, to draft a story into the chat, and I'll also do it as well, along with you guys as well. So let's see what the new cards are. All right. So the 5 cards now are patriarchy, no more USA, no formal education, virtual reality is the only reality, and new reading. So these are the 5 cards. And yeah, the opportunities for everyone to just think of a story right now and put it into the chat. Okay. So any story. So I'll be doing it as well, and of course, and choose any year you want. It can be 40, 50, 60, maybe 3100 is too far away, but maybe in 20, 30 years, any. Yeah, just put it into the chat box. All right. Thank you for your question. So the question is that you have to make up a story which has the 5 cards into the story, right? So I'm gonna give an example into the chat if that helps. Right now, we can create any story about the future that has these 5 cards inside the story. So yeah, so for example, let's see, we are such with a decentralized learning system, the fall of patriarchy, and no clear world order. Knowledge systems have moved towards all domains metaphysical. It is anarchy yet organized. So beautiful, right? So this is like a type of story that's there. All right, so let's see. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I see Anisa's story is this is 2050. Our tech is so advanced that we live, work, and learn virtually. We don't have to be physically anywhere. We learn from different platforms online. There's no more universities or colleges to award degrees. Okay. Right. Or for example, a story I wrote in the year 2050. Due to rising climate change, we really had to figure out an alternative way to survive. And unfortunately, life did become like the Matrix. Virtual reality was now the only reality. But thankfully, in this reality, there was no more patriarchy. It was an inclusive world, a world where we could read in a total new way, but it was a virtual world. Okay, thank you, Ida. I see. I flew over to my floating apartment and I thought of studying geography today by going over the satellite map images through my VR Google glasses. I saw how from the satellite images over the last 5 years, the US has slowly merged with Canada. I immediately open up a link on the history of the US as my new reading for the day and hoping to come up with a reflective journal on my thinking. Okay, yeah, yes, yeah. Mohammed has a point that some of the stories may not have no USS. So that's the challenge, right? I mean, of course, the challenge is to figure out how to bring up all 5 elements uh, into the card. Okay, all right. I see Mohammed has scored and given an A minus, but Brodeen. All right, one more story, and we'll do the next one in a bit. In 2050, there's no more country named USA. Everyone chose to learn back to at their homeland with new readings available every 5 minutes. No need to attend school or university as there's no formal education. Everyone lives in virtual reality. Patriarchy is no longer the dictionary of the people. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. All right. And we see more of the stories coming out. So let's try a new set of cards and see what comes up, right? I think you guys are getting the hang of it. Very, very good. All right. So these are the new 5 cards. So the new 5 cards are winter, biometric sensors, minimum wage, everything Africa, immortality. Right. So any story which has these five different elements into it. All right. So I see both Haniki and Samchul have also new stories inside. And let's see what other stories we can come up with. Yeah, and of course you can continue to write your stories and put it in. And let's see what new stories come up with these new 5 cards as well. Great. I'm enjoying the Swiss mountains from my living room because everything is virtual. Yeah. All right, so let's see what the new ones are. All right, so I see Ida's new story. Yes, winter is back. I'm in my favorite store where everything Africa is being sold. Yikes, they use biometric sensors at the entrance. All salespersons enjoy minimum wage, and oh my, they look so young, as if they were still in their 20s. Okay. Haniki's story is due to climate change, most countries of the world experience prolonged winter, and people are tagged with biometric sensors. There's no minimum wage system, and almost everything are made in Africa, with the privileged ones trying to attain immortality. Hmm. Okay, so Ria's sad story. With the rise of the new superpower, the African continent, winters were less frequent. Behavioral, emotional biometric scanners monitor behavior to ensure that people do not violate ethical or moral values. Minimum wage ensures no one is left behind. Okay, all right, and we can see more. All right, so even year one story, waking up in the winter of Malaysia due to horrible climate change. Okay, so yeah, so there may be winter in Malaysia. The earth has become a very cold place. Africa was saved from a climate change disaster, and all the deserts have become tropical paradise, and Africa is the new superpower. The world has implemented a universal basic income. Minimum wage is enforced by Africa. All individuals are tagged with biometric sensors. Advancement in medical research grant human a very long time. So very interesting, right? So we always know civilizations rise and fall, and so what will be the world order in 2050 as well, right? So again, Africa emerged as a superpower. Their weather is somewhat become like Europe now, so things are definitely changing. Fadila's story as well. Normal for formal education for children, and this is from the last one. Okay, all right. So let's do. Anissa, do we have time for one last round or?
Yes, let's do one last round.
Okay, let's do one last round, and see and this is the spirit that we want. Like this spirit of like rapid storytelling is what we need in the other exercises that we'll be doing in a bit. All right, so the last round. Oh wow, so Pfizer said, yeah, this is exactly what Benedict Anderson said about imagined communities in his book back in 1983. Okay, very good. All right, so the new cards are the climate crisis. The average temperature is 40 degrees Celsius. Right, so it's very hot over the world. Solar energy for everyone, holographic technology for teaching. There's a water crisis and playgrounds. Right, so let's see how these 5 elements can come together. And yeah, even though they seem related, this is really not planned. It's all random picks, and it's interesting that we came up with these. So let's see what stories come up with this particular set of cards. Okay, our planet has dried up, temperature soaring every day. We now harvest solar energy to keep us going. Classes are virtual, using holographic tech for learning and teaching and playing. Right? The world is a horrible place to be for most people. Only selected few are probably enjoying their lives in protective bubbles, not need to travel as you travel in your minds. And water is akin to gold. Yeah, water has become so expensive. Yeah. With increasing temperature, solar energy is effectively harnessed and less dependent on carbon-based fuel. The world is cleaner. Innovative teaching includes holographic technology, enables learning at any time, anywhere. Creating of water using S&T resolves water crisis and more facilities provided for children in controlled climate, including playgrounds. All right, climate crisis is taking global warming to the next level in 2060. People live underground to get better access to underground water. Playgrounds and classrooms are now holographic projections. The good news, infinite solar energy to power our virtual needs for eternity underground. Also, we're all underground, huh? All right, so you can see all the different time coming out. Solar becomes the main source. People now starting to move back into the caves. Wow, it's so hard to find water outside. It's so hot. No more solar panel covering the sky. No more electricity bills. However, there's a water crisis due to the heating Earth. Right, so you get one thing, you lose one, you lose another thing. The world in 2077, the world suffered a climate crisis. No problem to me because thanks to cheap solar energy, I can turn on my AC all day and night and turn on my water filter. All right. Okay, so you can see like all different ways, right? And someone says, yeah, I like the positive features created. Yeah. Right. So sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's not so positive, sometimes it's a mix of both. Right. And of course, what is positive, what is negative probably depends on the person's interpretation as well. Okay, and we can see a lot more stories. A disaster to the people in the world, but at the same time, everyone, every place. Right. So I think we're getting the hang of it. Right. So I mean, this is the game. It's a very quick game called all of our futures, and again, like how does this help us, right? So three things I hope you guys can appreciate through this game. One is, of course, you understand that there's just not one future, but there are multiple futures. So when we say futures thinking, we're always using plural, right? So there's multiple different futures, and of course, among all these different features, some features are possible, some features are preferable, and we can we'll learn more about that. Now, this type of rapid storytelling really helps individuals, organizations, or communities or governments to open up their minds for new ideas, right? For new ideas to help them be better prepared for the future, right? So sometimes, I mean, I think different scenarios are always useful, right? I mean, of course, if like even the fact that the pandemic is something that we're all going through. It was a scenario that was always there, but then I think hopefully this experience will help us realize that sometimes some of the crazy futures might become possible, right? And then what do we do then? So now this helps you also live into the future, right? So sometimes to delve into the deeper parts of your imagination, to step outside your comfort zone and reality, to consider possibilities that have hardly been considered before, right? And I thank you for playing this game, and I thank you for your creativity and imagination, and let's keep this spirit up. All right, Anisa.
Right. Thank you, Shakil. That was an awesome game, and thank you the participants too. Like everybody was very actively contributing ideas. I think we need that exercises. This is our brain stretching our brain to think about, what's possible, and what could sound like quite ridiculous or weird or unfamiliar. But if we allow our imaginations to go a little bit further, so that we can move away from what is familiar. So that's the whole purpose, really, one of the purpose of the game. Okay, right. So I'm gonna, because this workshop is on futures literacy, and I would like to use this like 10-15 minutes to very quickly run through future studies, some of the concepts of future studies with you very quickly, just a quick introduction, yeah? So these are some of the terms: future studies, strategic foresight, discipline anticipation, prospective futures literacy. If you were to want to find out more, if you were to Google some of these terms, and you get a lot of materials, content for you to read literature, whether it's academic, peer-reviewed literature, or from some of the futurists who actually have their own website and have quite a lot of resources. There are lots of things for us to learn that's out there. lots of tools. So what future studies is to introduce some framework and methodologies to help us think about the future. We came together as a group, as a collective, because we felt that, futures literacy, the ability to think about the future ought to be as important as an ability to write and read and do maths. I mean, when we are kids, our kids, when we send them to school from 3-4 years old to learn ABC, because that's reading, to learn to write because we have to write, right? So, but nobody ever taught us how to think about the future. So my parents always tell me, oh, you must think about your future. You must think about your future. And I'll tell students in class, oh, don't study hard, think about your future. But how do you actually do it? So, which is why I felt that personally, when I learned about future studies, it gives me a lot of awareness, right? And I, as an educator, I feel really strongly about how this ought to be an important component in our personal development in our learning process. Right. So as Shakir has just introduced, we say futures. If you notice, futures are plural. The future, there's only one, but we can explore alternative futures. What are our alternatives? So we don't want there's only one future. We're going down to that route, and it's all predetermined without any discussion, without any negotiation, without considering a lot of other people, different people in our society. So how can we create more diverse, create alternative futures for people, for all of us in UIA, in IUM, like what are our possible futures? Things that might happen, no matter how far out, even with knowledge that we do not have. Or what are our probable future, things like they are likely to happen with a continuation of current trends. The only concern with current trends is, what was yesterday, what was last year, is not applicable this year. During this COVID-19 has just created a perfect storm that changed all the familiarity that we used to have. Now we are living in a whole new world. People call it a whole new normal, right? So maybe probable future isn't going to work for us anymore. So we ought to think about possible futures, and then what is possible, what could happen with what we know right now. Okay, so every time when we talk about futures, there are the 3 possible futures that we talk about. And future studies has its roots in theories of social change and stability. So it's broadly connected, can be explained by 3 broadly interconnected concepts. That's novelty, continuity, and cycles. So novelty, in our society, there's always some new ideas, new invention that's being introduced into our lives. It will affect us, affect how we live, okay, affect how we behave as well. So self-driving cars has now been introduced. It's being tried and tested in some parts of America. Tesla is being tested, right? But there's also concern, like, yes, self-driving cars, what does it mean? When we sit in the car, we are allowing the car to make decisions for us. So what if it comes to a point where, you're at the crossroad and you have to decide who to hit. Are you going to hit an old grandmother, or are you going to hit a baby, who's in the pram, So who's going to make that decision for you? Because you're not driving the car anymore. The car is programmed to drive for you. So who is responsible for that programming, for the artificial intelligence to learn? Are you going to leave it to the car makers? Are you going to leave it to the manufacturers? Are you going to leave it to the engineers or the programmers to make some such decision for you? So novelty always introduces challenge to our society, and people will start to negotiate, will start to challenge it, will start to discuss about it, and how do you think we should move forward with this new component, new idea that came into our lives. So there's always novelty. And futures work is also based on, continuity, how we live our life. We have this change, there's change. There are 2 types of change. One of the type of change is continuity, continuous change. As you can see, people are now very awed, like, oh my God, we have Tesla, there's a new electric car, self-driving car is also grand. But we must not forget the first new electric car was introduced in 1832. So what we see is an evolution that's, a change that's continuous. So it's continuously changing for the better. So this is continuous change. That's why it's continuity. There's always continuity in our civilization and society. And the next component of future studies is based on cyclical theory. So macro historians always work on trying to understand how does society change. So macro history helps us take a more holistic view, right? Long-term holistic view of change, and challenges us to look for cycles and patterns when we think about the future. So we always say, why do we study history? History is gone. But if we don't learn from history, we're going to go back there again. That's the cycle for sure, right? And then this is written by Ibn Khaldun. So he was one of the earliest sociologists who recorded and tried to understand why certain civilizations rise and fall. So he found that in cycles of increase and decreasing social unity and solidarity actually cause a civilization to rise and fall. Yeah. So like you build on very strong asabiya, people come together, there's a good leader, the leader who care for their people. And then that society, that civilization becomes strong, great, becomes a great society. People know about the leader, and more people join the clan, and because they felt that the leader takes care of them. So from and on, the society or that group of people start to grow and expand, and they become more richer. Okay, they prosper. They have that kind of leisure. They feel like they're safe in this group, and because their people are getting comfortable, they're very satisfied. They have that peacefulness among the society. They feel like there's no need to fight anymore, and sometimes they forget to fight to protect themselves. So and then there's the stagnation, and then after that, slowly, then that civilization will start to decline and dissolve. So, and according to Ibn Khaldun, a civilization will last for 3 generations, right, before it starts to dissolve. Now, just now we're talking about change. There's a continuous change, like how car has evolved over time, and there's also discontinuous change. The discontinuous change, this type of change is the type that we are worried about, because this discontinuous change will disrupt everything that we know. Like COVID-19 has shocked our system, right? With so many deaths, with so many people affected, with everything, once people are affected, people forsake, people die, the global supply chain is affected, disrupted, like, we cannot have supplies to certain countries. I remember at the earlier part of the lockdown when I was in Dubai, Dubai imports a lot of rice from India and Myanmar and Vietnam. Sorry, Vietnam. And then during the lockdown, we see shelves like they were empty. There were no more rice coming in because all the supply chain shipping industry has like basically crippled by COVID-19. So these are some of the rapid change that has happened over time, and it created and disrupted the things that we know. So what does future studies do? The role of future studies really is to introduce or encourage us to use our imagination, to invent, to detect novelty, to improvise, to be spontaneous, rather than being helpless, feeling like we are locked in the roller coaster seat. Nothing we can do to change the direction that's laid out for us by others. So, when are we going to take some responsibility for our future? So future studies encourage us to alter the sense of fear of the unknowable. So we ought to live with this ability to say, yes, things are very uncertain, but, I can process it. I can manage it. I can, navigate through the storm. And as people say, surf the tsunami, right? Create an ability for people to feel comfortable with not knowing, with uncertainties as they live their lives in a way that would take them that into account and account, and cultivate future studies and futures literacy as a universal human capability. As I was saying, that we ought to know how to think about the future as if we, write and read. So today, I want to introduce the Futures Triangle as a simple tool to help us and guide us think about, some of the push and pull forces that shape our future. The first dimension of the triangle is the pull of the future. So what is our preferred future? Ideally, what do we like? How do we see our future to be if we have a chance to shape it? How can our lives and work be better? What does it mean? What does better mean to us, to you and me, to everyone at IUM? How can we live and work better? What would be the ideal future for us at IUM given the situation, and the futures that we want to avoid? What kind of futures do we want to avoid? What do we lack to influence change, and what are our limits? So the first dimension, when you get into your groups, your facilitator will encourage you to think about, in your own language as well. I see someone writing in the chat box, can we write it in Bahasa Melayu? Yes, please go ahead, talk about it. Even when you're in your breakout groups, you can talk about how you see your future going to be, in your own language. If it helps, if it makes it easier, kalau nak cakap Bahasa Melayu, please go ahead. And then the weights of the past. So if we were to think about our future, we also have to also think about the weights of past. Like, what are some of the cultures and traditions that we have been living in, and that could be, that hold us back from changing. Sometimes when we say, okay, we want to change some of the things that we have always been doing, doesn't mean that we forget our history, we forget our future, our past, or we forgot our values or our ancestor, but really we are looking at how we can change to be relevant, to be better. And we don't want that tradition to be holding us back. Okay, of course, we take the good things and, and change the not so good ones. So what are the deep structure that we see change? And the next component is the push of the present. Now, whether we like it or not, a lot of things are changing right now, right? With technology. Now, see, I am talking to you virtually, even when I'm thousands of miles away. If I would fly back to Malaysia, it takes me 4 or 5 hours of flying, and I can't get there. So I'm talking to you virtually. So technology has changed how we work, how we reach out to people, how we connect, right? And this change, the things are pushing us to move forward, and whether we like it or not. I know some colleagues of mine who are very reluctant to use online banking. They still want to go to a bank, to go to the teller personally to do the transactions, because they don't trust security of online banking. Okay, and they say that there's too much fraud going around, too many types of fraud that's going around, and they don't feel safe. So, but this will change, whether we want it or not. Maybe in the future, there are no more banks. Like you can see now, a lot of banks have closed their branches. All they have is a hole in the wall, the ATM machine for you to do your transaction. And when you call up the bank, it's all, just teller or automated machine. Like in Dubai, when you call up, it's all digital voice that's talking to you. There's no more person, And those are the push of the present that's pushing us forward, whether we want it or not. So social change. And so after considering the three components, then we think of, okay, with what we have right now, with what we know, after considering our past, the present, and what we prefer, if you could hold a small piece of future in your hands, how might that shape the decisions you make today? So how can you change? What are the actions you might take, as a group, as a department, as a division, and for our department or for us to work better together? Okay, so that's what is possible for us as employee of IIUM, of the nation of IIUM, of the UMAR. Okay, so now these are some of the notes that I have. So I'm just going to zoom in to some. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom into some to show you, like, what is our preferred future, right? When we talk about preferred future, so we have news that global trend is moving towards the end of trash. So if we can imagine an end of trash for IUM, how would it change IUM for us if everyone were to manage trash better? Okay, tech for good. How is technology gonna affect the working at IUM? And technology has always been, people create technology with sometimes with the wrong intention. Maybe they want technology to make money. But if we could think about, okay, if we have the technology for the good of the nation, for the good of IUM, how would that look like, right? And then here, what are the futures that we want to avoid? Like billionaires, they are creating, they're going to design our future for us if we don't do something about it. Would you like some billionaire to design future for you? I mean, even in Malaysia, when I was there, a lot of the some decisions were made and say, when we say things are a bit expensive, let's say public transport, oh, that's expensive. Then the one of the politicians will say, oh no, you see, if we convert it into US dollar, it's actually $1 or $2 is actually very cheap. But who is living and using US dollar in Malaysia? We are earning Malaysian ringgit. So that's why I say, if you allow the rich to design our future for us, it's going to be too expensive for our common people like you and me, to live in that world. So what are we going to do about it? How can we improve IUM for the good of everyone? So those are just some examples of the pool of the future. And then the weights of the past. So I talked about some traditions, okay, culture and traditions that's holding us back. So from last week, what success means, what are societal expectations? From our last week discussion with students, some students were saying, our parents are still expecting us to be pegawai kerajaan, just belajar to be pegawai kerajaan. Or in our Chinese community, if you're not a doctor or an engineer, you are a dishonor to the family. It's not good at all, So that put a lot of pressure on the younger generation. And then if they can't be a doctor or an engineer or a pegawai kerajaan, they feel like they couldn't do anything. They feel like they're at a loss. So that's why you have a lot of younger generation who felt like they couldn't do anything. They just lepak at home because I can't be a doctor, I can't be an engineer, so I can't be anything. So how are we going to change that mindset, right? And learning approaches, some of the systems and structures that's still holding us back, right? Some technology, like if technology don't support this virtual connection, then IUM will always be closed, like, only connected to your own people and never connect outside, right? So, but those things are allowing us to change, if you can change the system and the structure. Okay, and let's weights of the past. Maybe if you were to put this on to your working culture, what kind of working culture and the weights of the past? My experience when I was at IUM, when I was working with a department, they were like, everybody is akak ade. It's great. I mean, it's a good culture to have, like calling everyone sisters. You're connected well, and you're taking care of each other. But that can also be a barrier to improve, because the kakak don't want to say anything bad to the ade, so don't want to comment on her work. And if we are doing a disservice if we don't tell people how to improve, even if it sounds bad sometimes, not sounds bad, but harsh. So we can be harsh to tell people, look, this work is not good enough, you have to improve. Sometimes we have to be harsh, but it is for the better of the person to improve. So it could be ade akak, but when it comes to work, we want you to be better, to improve. So those are some of the cultures that I could remember what I have experienced. And some of the examples of the push of the present, I talk about technology, and here now the new generation, right? The Gen Z people has not seen a world without technology. So at the IAUM, we're gonna have, us, the older generation, the boomer, the Gen X, we're gonna be like, slowly retiring, going out of the picture. And so that is changing, right? The population, the demographics of IUM staff is changing rapidly. So the people who comes in will have, they are digital nation 100%. So they're gonna like expect everything to, be online and work using digital technology. So that is the push for us to push for that are the things that push us forward. Okay, so those are just some of the examples. And today, the discussion, there are 6 discussion themes, and people will be assigned to different groups, and you will be facilitated with the discussion at your table. So with that, I think we can get on to our group discussion. How are we doing with time? Yeah, just great, just enough, just good. So then we now get on to our discussion. Madam Zarina?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Anissa. It was really wonderful that I was, multitasking, trying to do my organizational work, and I was enjoying the discussion. And to be very frank, Professor Ida Madiha very cheekily wrote, so which one are you, all of us? Are you the kakak or the adik? And you were saying that, the adik needs to be corrected by the kakak, so that the kakak sometimes has to be harsh so the adik can improve. And then someone else wrote, can the adik also teach the kakak a few things? Sometimes the kakak needs to improve. So no one's perfect. So anyway, mashallah, I think we go back to the examples of Rasulullah SAW and how he elected young people to lead armies. I don't think he looked at age. He looked at wisdom, good character, akhlaq and adab. And I don't think he looked at age. But we need to respect old people, as how Islam teaches us to. Okay, that was really a wonderful session. Congratulations, Dr. Nisa, Shakil, and everyone who responded. I am now going to just take 2 minutes to say some critical reminders. Yeah, the breakout session is going to start soon. There are 6 groups led by our facilitators. God bless them, Dr. Anissa, Shakil, and I need to mention their names: Professor Ida Madiha, Professor Aslam. Professor Aslam does not have a note taker, but Professor Aslam, please, I really hope that you can present and grab some notes, because we couldn't get a replacement for Anik. And then there is Dr. Yasir, which came and saved us. And what's the 6th? What's the other? Dr. Riyasat. Yes. So I hope that all group members have registered online, so we don't have a technical glitch like last week. Each group needs to select a presenter. If you cannot find one amongst the members, then please you need to get, maybe the facilitator can do it, or I'm convinced that a group member is able to present. I'm sure there'll be one enthusiastic person. And may I please request that all presenters switch on your videos when you are in the main room. Okay, when you're in the main room, switch on your video so we can recognize you. So group members from ASA, PMA, Kurnia, Kesatu, we value all of you. Enjoy populating your futures triangle. Hope you can share something with us later besides a verbal presentation. Kalau ada slide pun, sketch ke, anything, at least there's something that you can show us. Now, about the language of discussion, I need to reiterate this. Facilitators, please take note. We need to entertain views in Bahasa Malaysia. There are event partners who can also help us translate. Workshop ini juga akan menggunakan 2 bahasa, di mana facilitator, event partner dan peserta boleh menggunakan bahasa Melayu sebagai bahasa perantaraan untuk perbincangan dan membuat perbentangan sebentar lagi. You can also present in BM, not a problem. That's it. Yep. And last but not least, I need to acknowledge our note takers who are students or graduates. They have been playing a critical role, and they are purely volunteering, and I'm very, very proud of them because they're helping us willingly. Unfortunately, for Professor Aslam's group, we could not find a student volunteer because of midterm exams. So I need to appeal to the facilitator to please take notes, just as Dr. Riyasat had done so quite a bit for the last session. That's about it. And I will now pass the session back to, I would ask all participants to exit the group, right? Because the ITD team who have been helping us, they will then assign you to your breakout rooms. So take care, all of you, all the best. I need to now speak to the forum moderator and panelist. That's all from me about the breakout session. Alhamdulillah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Haniki bin Nik Muhammad. He is the head of Internationalization and Global Network, Kuliah of Pharmacy, IUM Kuantan, and leader for Sustainable Smoke-Free Campus Community Flagship. He is the moderator and the champion for the next forum that is going to be focusing on the IUM working culture, the joy of working together. I am now going to call him to come forward to introduce the other members of the panel. Jazakumullah khair. I hope you're going to enjoy the forum, everyone, and do come back after that to join the forum. And whoever's watching the forum now, don't leave us. Try and stay on until the end, till 12:30. Okay, take care and salam alaikum. Dr. Muhammad Haniki, the floor is yours.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you so much to our MC, Madam Zarina Nala, Head of the Future Studies, Office of Director IUM. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin wa salatu wa salam wa ala syafi'i anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi israh li sadri wa yassir li amri wa uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'd. Welcome all, especially to our Honorable Rector of IUM, Tan Sri Professor Dr. Zulkifli Abdul Razak, our invited speakers from Maya, the four esteemed panelists for this forums, our colleagues from IUM, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to be the moderator of this forum entitled Joy of Working Together, which the objective is simply to further promote the culture of working together among the staff in IIUM to achieve the Vision 2040 and beyond. As you know, the acronym TEAM, TEAM, stands for Together Everyone Achieves More. So this is also in line with the Vision 2040 of IIUM, and the platform being one of them is the Sejahtera Academic Framework, or SAF, which is one of the catalysts to move IIUM forward, and the framework should be implemented by 2040. It is said that IIUM needs to be strong before it can lead, as our tagline is leading the way. And then before we can lead a nation, we need to be strong. But in order to be strong, we have to work together. And to keep people working together, they have to enjoy working together, right? So with me today, we're going to have four, as I said, distinguished panelists who are going to talk about this particular topic that we have for this forum. And I'm going to introduce four of them briefly, and I will read up their biodata as their turn to speak. We have Dr. Muhammad Noor Abdul Jalil, who's an assistant professor at IIUM, Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences. Dr. Muhammad Noor, you are here?
Yes, I am, Dr. Haniki. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Next, we have Dr. Siti Zainab Tauhid. Okay, and then we have Associate Professor Dr. Murni Mahmud, and last but not least, Dr. Muhammad Faiz Muhammad Tahir. Okay, all of them are here, eager to go, but I have to call one by one, starting with our assistant professor, Dr. Muhammad Noor Abdul Jalil, who's at the Department of Musuluddin, Comparative Religion. He's currently student development. Dia ada 4 tapi dah bagi kita orang. Tinggal yang satu speaking. Maybe technical glitch, cross line, yeah. Okay, ITD will help us on that, inshallah. Going back to the biodata, Dr. Muhammad Noor is currently a research fellow at the Interreligious Study and Dialogue Center, Irshad, Islamic and Strategic Studies Institute, ISSI. He holds Doctor of Philosophy degree in Usuluddin and Comparative Religion. IUM specializes in the study of religions and lectures in World Religion 1, 2 and Islamic Da'wah. Research interests on development of Islam and other religions in the Malay world, early Malay manuscript study and Islamic Da'wah. Also actively involved in community engagement projects with local communities in his capacity as the Deputy Dean, Student Development and Community Engagement at KIRKHS. There are several ongoing flagships and non-flagship projects at the Kuliah involving local community in Gombak, Selangor, known as KRKHS Gombak project. So for Dr. Muhammad Noor, okay, he's going to be covering the topic, and his question that I would ask is basically prepared already the question, but the answer I think he will be sharing with all of us in details. Yeah. So let me see the question that I have for you, Dr. Muhammad Noor. Where is it? Okay. First one, how do we move the hearts in order to make working together a joyful experience in IIUM? So Dr. Muhammad Noor, the virtual platform is yours. You have 10 minutes to cover this.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Haniki, as our moderator for today. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Rektor, fellow panelists, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Haniki, for the questions. Well, the question is very close actually to my heart. Talking about the joy of working at IIUM. Thank you, Dr. Haniki, for reshaping the questions, which is very much into what I am so passionate talking about, especially to my students. Now I'm giving the opportunity to share with my fellow colleague, our staff, academics and administrative staff at IIUM, which I would say this is very much sharing session. Could be nothing much new to all of you, especially those who are so passionate working at IIUM, always extending extra miles in doing whatever we are doing, whatever we have been entrusted in doing while we are working at this beloved university. Brothers and sisters, well, when we talk about the heart, it has to be something related to what we have in our mind, which is what we understand on what are our roles or our responsibility when we are being appointed as a staff, academic, and also our administrative staff at IIUM. Obviously, IIUM is Islamic university. The backbone of our university is Islam religion. So we don't have choice, but in order to answer the questions, how to connect our heart and to make our work joyful at IIUM, we have to go back to our religion. As a Muslim, as everyone knows, because this is what we have been talking, sharing with everyone, especially in our campus, that we have been created by God as the Khalifa. We are here to administer the world. We have been entrusted to discharge our responsibility accordingly. So when we are being appointed as a staff of IIUM, we have to understand that whatever we do at this big institution is actually not just to become, someone was saying the term of wager, just to get a monthly salary, but this is part and parcel of our ibadah, form of ibadah, our form of worshipping, fulfilling our responsibility as Khalifa in this world. Well, now we are in Ramadan, brothers and sisters. Our focus to many of us are very much on to enhance, to double, to triple our effort in accumulating rewards from the Almighty. It is on ibadah. If we include the job that we are doing at IIUM as a form of ibadah, it has to be similar with what we are doing, especially in the month of Ramadan. We have to double, we have to triple our effort in order not only to get a salary. The salary is what we are going to get, inshallah, working as a public sector. But our concern as a Muslim, because we believe as Muslim, this world is not a permanent abode for us forever. We are going to go to the next world, which is much, much more important to all Muslims. And our destiny in the hereafter is very much determined by how much we have accumulated good deeds in this world. And for that reason, with that understanding, with that conviction, I would say it will drive passionate people who are always working extra miles, doesn't even think about what would I get at the end of what I have contributed so much, looking at the tangible rewards. But these people, and I know there are many in IIM, Alhamdulillah, they will not look at it. They will just do it as the best possible manner as they can do. I think these people, and also in one of our meeting with Tan Sri Rector many months ago, Tan Sri Rector mentioned about we want to produce many citizens of IIUM, those whose life is with IIUM. They don't care about what do they get, but they are very much concerned about what else they can contribute to IIUM. I think this understanding, feeling, inshallah, can move the heart of brothers and sisters, our staff at IIUM, to make our work at IIUM joyful experiences. Let me share with you one slide, which is known to everyone because this is a Quranic verse. This is again answering the question of why are we here. This is a quotation from Quran in Surah At-Tawbah, verse number 122. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما كان المؤمنون لينفروا كافة فلولا نفر من كل فرقة منهم طائفة ليتفقهوا في الدين ولينذروا قومهم إذا رجعوا إليهم لعلهم يحذرون. Brothers and sisters, for us this ayah is very much talking about those who are spending their time in their worldly life, enhancing their understanding in religion, and try to execute them in the best possible manner. وَلْيُنْذِرُوا قَوْمَهُمْ إِذَا رَجَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ. We are at the university, whoever we are, not only the academics, but also our administrative staff and others, we have the best opportunity to enhance ourselves about our religion. Without doubt, sources of knowledge are everywhere, uh, formally and informally. We can learn from many scholars in the university. And I think this is our struggle, brothers and sisters. When we have enrolled ourselves as a member of IIUM, as a staff of IIUM, it is our responsibility to enhance our understanding of Islam so that we can discharge our duty in sharing those knowledge, in implementing, put it into practice in our action, in our day-to-day duty in our offices. If each and every one of us understand Islam well, because we have the opportunity, we don't have reason to say that we do not know where to find information, knowledge about this and that. Islam. Opportunity is everywhere. At IIUM, I would say our task as a staff is about to put it into practice. The lecturers, we have our responsibility with our students. The administrative staff also, these are another important component which make our institution become stronger and stronger by the day. And that should not exclude those who are other than the administrative staff. We have the janitors. Each and every one of us in this university, brothers and sisters, I would say, have this opportunity to enhance our investment in hereafter without us having or be rich or extremely rich individual. We know that our earning, alhamdulillah, we can continue our living comfortably, but not that luxurious life. We may think that in Ramadan, how we are going to find extra money to donate in order to increase our investment and hereafter. And I think money is not the only way we can contribute to do sadaqah. I would say if you look at this verse, وَلْيُنذِرُوا قَوْمَهُمْ إِذَا رَجَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ, to show exemplary conduct, to go extra miles in discharging our duties are all opportunities to increase our investment, to do sadaqah in our life with our strength, with our energy, with our time. Because sadaqah is not only limited with money. To do with whom? To everyone. Everyone that we meet in this university are our clients, and especially with our students. I think one of the reasons why many of our alumni decided to stay put working in IIUM is because we have the opportunity to do da'wah without having to travel like the Sahaba, the companion of the Prophet did those days. We don't have to travel to bring Islam to the people, but Allah made IIUM as the institution and bring Muslims, the future leaders of the Muslim community all over the world, especially the minority Muslim communities abroad, coming here to study. And I think this is a great opportunity not to be missed, brothers and sisters. If you are able to discharge our duty, shown the exemplary conduct, be it we the lecturers, the administrators, and others, support staff, to our students, who is the main client. Without student, there is no university, by the way. And I think we will become millionaire or even billionaire in thereafter. And I think that understanding, Dr. Haniki, is maybe my response to your question, how we can move hard, all of us, our staff, our dear brothers and sisters in IUM, to make working environment in IUM a joyful one, because our concern, our aim is not a short-term aim, the salary that we are getting at the end of every month, but our aim is in hereafter. We want the salary, alhamdulillah, to continue living, but as a Muslim, our worldview is telling us the hereafter is equally important or even more important. And we want to get rewards, accumulating good deeds, inshallah, for the hereafter as well. I stop there, Dr. Haniki, from me. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah khairan katsira, Dr. Muhammad Noor, for that wonderful explanation regarding why we are at IIUM and how we would move the hearts in order to work together joyfully. And indeed, as you said, working together as ibadah, regardless of ranks or position, and looking at the hereafter as the eternal investments rather than this short life that we live here. Inshallah, will make not only living but also working together a joyful experience. Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan again. So we now move to our next panelist. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Siti Zainab Tauhid, who graduated with bachelor degree of Islamic Education in 1994 from University of Malaya. Then she joined the Education Service Commission as a teacher until 1995, and then joined IIUM in May 1995. She was granted in 2001 IIUM scholarship to continue masters in public administration at the Faculty of Economics and Administration, UM, and graduated in 2003. After that, in 2014, she pursued her PhD degree in Human Resource Development at Faculty of Educational Studies, UPM. And her research focused on predictors of research performance and work engagement among academics at the Malaysian research universities. At IUM, she has served Kuliah of Dentistry, Research Management Center, MSD, Public Relations Office, and also Kuliah of Islamic Legal Knowledge and Human Sciences. She's also a certified ISO lead auditor, and currently she's at the Sultan Ahmad Shah Medical Center, IUM, in charge of strategy and corporate affairs. So with all these qualifications, she's the best person, I believe, to answer this question. Dr. Siti, how do you create joyful workforce in the challenging work environment with limited resources? Dr. Siti, The virtual floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Dr. Haniki, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you do the slideshow for your PowerPoint?
Okay.
Yes, down there.
Okay, I'm trying now.
The arrow needs to be down.
Okay, can you see it?
Slideshow is the button. Yeah, that one. Yeah, click that one.
Okay.
Click it.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah. Go ahead.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you, Prof. Haniki, for the introduction, and respected Tan Sri Rector, Prof. Zul, Deans, Directors, Organizer, thank you for inviting me to speak something about achieving IIUM 2040, the joy of working together, and respected panelists. Okay, I think I am not the best to share, to be here actually, but I will try, Prof. Haniki, to share whatever from the management perspective. The outline of my discussion would be organizational changes at IIUM, definition of the joy of working together, because we have to be clear what the joy of working together means to us. We also want to discuss also about what are the characteristics of the joy of working together, how to create the joy of working together, and conclusion, inshallah. Okay, how IIUM in 2040? Just now we have listened to Mr. Sakil about the changes that we may have in 2040. It seems so scary. I mean, with the scarce of resources, scarce of food, scarce of many things, okay? And we have 19 years more to go. So it is not so far and it is not that so close, but we have to be prepared to be there exist in 2040. If I can share with you, okay, we established in 1985, okay, and then due to the changes in strategic focus, our universities has been categorized as comprehensive university. That was in 1990s. Okay, so the operation is just like the comprehensive university without focusing on anything. And in 2006, MOHIS has launched the transformation, and one of the thrust was on research. They want more research from the academics and more output. Okay, but IIUM started to move to become one of the research universities in 2011. Okay, and we are grappling. I still remember the struggle. All the researchers were forced, whether they like it or not, okay, to do more research. And then in 2018, we start to have a new approach due to the changes of strategic focus. We revitalized IIUM vision and mission to make IIUM more visible at the international level. And in 2019, we were affected, all of us, with COVID-19, which require a lot of changes in our norms of doing work. And in 2040, where are we? See, based on the changes, it seems that change is inevitable in the higher education. And from time to time, it seems that the change is more challenging. Definitely, when there is change, okay, there are implications to the staff. There are several types of implications. Maybe there are some who are positive with it. Maybe there are majority, if we can consider the effect on the staff are 2, or maybe 3, or maybe 4. But I just discuss here the main effect. The first one is those who are receptive to change. When there is change at the organizational level, okay, they accept the challenge, okay, they adapt to the new requirements, they are very flexible, dynamic, and they are remains highly motivated. no matter what kind of changes that affect the organization. On the other hand, okay, there are some of our staff which feel the changes at the organizational level, they consider it as very high job demand. Bila ada change, they think, oh lemak, tambah kerja, tambah kerja. Okay, they will perceive, they will have the perception that many workload. And some of our staff also, they will start to confuse. Alamak, what are we going supposed to do here? Okay, dulu kita research and now we are moving towards SDGs. So sebenarnya what is our roles? And they are also who feel high pressure and in uncertain condition, whenever there is change, definitely sometimes there is poor organizational climate, and definitely this will affect the emotional demands of the staff. Okay, this is not peculiar to IIUM, but this is actually the reflection of what is happening outside. If we can see here, we have Wawasan 2020, which was launched in 1991. So in 2019, they did the survey on whether we have achieved what we are supposed to achieve. And with regards to our topic today, joy of working together, definitely if we are talking about joy of working together, we want to have someone who have the caring hearts, loving hearts, all those things. But it appears that the assessment of Malaysian is masih rendah. Okay, belum mencapai skala ataupun tahap yang sepatutnya. So this is actually reflected in the IIUM community. Next, when we want to discuss about joy, we want to instill the culture of joy. How do we define joy? All this while we have been working at IIUM, are we happy? Do we feel joyful of work together? This is the questions that we need to pose to ourselves. Okay, so as you are aware, joy actually is a state. It is not a trait and isn't a long-lasting permanent feature ataupun it is not a personality trait. Joy is something that we create. I create, you create, everyone create. And just now, definitely working in IIUM, as explained by Dr. Muhammad Noor just now, very clear it is based on the philosophy of IIUM, whereby the joy of working together is actually beyond willingness to work together and is actually beyond the worldly benefit. Because all of us have the understanding that whatever we do, it is actually considered as ibadah. We always state that working is ibadah, is ibadah, is ibadah. But do we internalize the meaning of what is ibadah? If I can share with you, at present, our workforce is about 6,051. Okay, we have about 2,366 academic staff. We have 716 of professional and management staff, and we have about 2,971 support staff. Based from the statistic, it appears that the average experience of working on the present position, maknanya those as a professor, those as associate professor on the present position for academic, the average is about 4.97. Okay, maknanya kita punya population ni, the experience diorang punya kerja is about 4.79. For professional and management group, kita punya average experience is about 4.11, and our support group is about 4.1. And overall, kita punya average of staff is about 4.31. We have been exist for about 37 years, but it appears that the average experience on the present post is about only 4.3, the average. Okay, this indicates that we still have a good opportunity to develop the culture of joy of working together. Okay. To be more precise, normally they will ask us, macam mana nak buat joy working together ni? It is not an easy question. As we say now, okay, now we will have what is joy working together, all those things. Definitely, maybe we can discuss what are the characteristics of joy working together that I can think of sharing with you at the moment. First, definitely respect each other. Okay, because we understand in our organization we have various positions daripada yang paling atas until yang paling bawah. Okay, we have our staff is from various background and they have various experience. Okay, so we need to understand that actually with the diverse cultural ataupun personal background, it is actually a rahmah for us because here is that we complement each other. Number two is about professionalism. Just like now Dr. Anisah mentioned, at IIUM it is common for us to call abang, adik, kakak and whatsoever lah. Okay, but I don't think it is as a barrier for us untuk menegur. Tapi we need to instill the culture that when we are the advice, okay, it is about our work, not personality. So in a way, we need to instill the culture of professionalism. Number three is about trust. Trust that others will contribute, trust that others can contribute, trust that ourselves also able to contribute. To what extent, it's another story. Okay, because our human capital is different from one to another, but we have to instill the sense of trust among our staff. The next one is transparency. Walaupun we are talking about 20, 40, whatsoever years that we will have in the future, when we want to have the joy of working together, definitely we have to have an ambience of transparency. It means that is as a checklist for us. Yes, the procedures and policies are clear, the criteria for certain things are clear, the selection process are clear, so everything is transparent. When people or staff see that we are transparent, they will have trust to us, okay, and they will inshallah feel the joy of working together. And another one is that definitely when we want to have the joy of working together, we need to add meaning to what we do. I mean, what is the meaning of we are doing things? What are the purpose of we doing things? And last but not least, I guess the most important thing that we want to focus here is that joy working together. We expect those who are happy will become more engaged, and when they are engaged, they will produce better or excellent results or output. We move on to the next chapter, how to create the joy of working environment, taking into consideration the demand that we need to be ready, to be prepared in the future. The first thing I guess is that about capacity building. The capacity building, we use the approach of motivation driven, we focus on staff personal growth, and we focus on learning and development as the continuous process. Okay, for that matter, we focus on when we say we want to build the capacity of the organization, definitely we will try to leverage on the empowerment with accountability. Why do I focus on empowerment with accountability? I'm not sure, and we are not sure whether in 19 years time we are still available or not. But for sure, kalaupun kita available, maybe we are still funded by the public by the government, ataupun kalau kita still exist, mungkin kita ada kita punya financial strength, but we are still accountable because IIUM does not belong to us, it's belong to someone else in terms of operation. Makna saya daripada segi liability. So we have to focus on empowerment with accountability. We want to promote supportive organizational culture. Like what we are doing now, Country Rector doing now, bring all the IIUM community to work together. We break the silo. Okay, we support each other with various types of SDG projects. Prof Haniki dengan merokoknya, stop smoking, di kuliah of science dengan patin buah. Saya juga ada beberapa projek yang kita buat. So these are the things that we need to foster. And number 3 is about knowledge sharing and transfer. This is a must. If we want to exist long, definitely we need to have the knowledge sharing and transfer. And this must be done in an appropriate format, because sometimes when we focus on knowledge transfer, it's something, the text knowledge that it is not written on the book. It must be communicated and the person must experience themselves. Last but not least, I think we need to focus also on professional development. For this matter, I think if we want to get the best, we need to be exposed to what is happening outside of IIUM. So I would like to propose maybe we can have cross-fertilization activities. We maybe can put our staff at TNB for those from engineering. Maybe we can put our staff at PNB for example, for financial matters. So there will be transfer of knowledge between IIUM. So this is the way how we sustain, how we are equipped, and in a way, we are trying to create the joy of working together in an updated environment. The third one, the next one, and on how to do it is definitely on staff resilience. I mean, we expect our staff to be able to control, and they can control themselves and they can control their behavior so that it will impact on others successfully. Kita tak nak bila ada apa-apa isu sikit, staff kita akan melatah. Staff kita macam cepat stres. Level of stress yang sangat tinggi. Okay. For that matter, kita punya manpower need to be groomed, need to be developed in a way that we are promoting self-efficacy. Self-efficacy exists since 1970s, but remains relevant even until now. When we say about self-efficacy, we are talking about how good one's performing their job. Okay, because this is the fundamental issue. When we say we want the product, so we expect all the staff, be it lecturer ataupun admin staff, they know what they are supposed to do. Plus, we want to see their effort. Okay, in the very challenging now, we need to have staff who are very agile. When we say agile, it means staff, they can move quickly, they can move easily. Macam when we ask them to do something, oh tak boleh, alamak ada challenge, this one is challenge. Okay, oh jap, we need to look at the policy. Okay, and last but not least, we want to develop the organization-based self-esteem. Where we want our staff to feel important. All these things actually we need to do it in a practical way, and it is not in a theoretical way. Okay. So my conclusion, okay, the joy taking into the challenges, all those things, okay, we are trying to foresee what will be happen to IIUM in 2040, okay. We are great because we are here today. We can have the forum to discuss about the joy of working together. So when we say about the joy of working together, it is not something happen overnight. It must be created. We must have the mutual understanding. All our staff, the 6,000 staff, understand what does it mean. Okay, the joy of working together. Definitely, when we want to create the joy of working together, it must be based on the SAF, Sejahtera Academic Framework. For me, I believe SAF is the best foundation because we understand why we do things, and what are the environment that we shall create, what are the support system that we shall deliver. Okay. Number 3, the points which is also important is that we want to have more visible leader at the whether it is at the department level, at unit level, because they are the one who will lead the way. And normally anak-anak buah ni, they will look at their leaders. Macam, okay, we can see the management by working around, oh, our leader are serious about joy of working together. Even though we are work in a stressful condition, anak buah buat silap sekali-sekala, we are there to educate them, to train them, rather than marah-marah. Okay, which does not create a good environment. Okay, next also is that we want to create the supportive ambience. We can see, we can feel whether the ambience that exists in the department, in the university is enabler for us or not. Sometimes it seems that, alamak, ini tak boleh, itu tak boleh, minta itu tak dapat, nak buat projek ni tak ada duit. So how to move forward? Okay. And last but not least, when we say about creating the joy of working together, it is definitely responsibility of each member, because we are part of the society of IIUM, and we are one of those contributing to IIUM. I mean, I believe whenever we want to go to 2040, we need to go to the core values, because this is the things that sustain us. If we have the values yang tinggi, insyaAllah, we will be there successfully in 2040. Okay, Prof. Haniki, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jazakallah khairan katsira, Jazakillah. Dr. Siti, for the very comprehensive coverage of the topic and the question that I posted to you. So inshallah, everybody will take the learning lessons from your presentation, inshallah. So next, I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Murni Mahmud, who's currently an associate professor in the Department of ICT, Information System at Kuliah of ICT, IIUM. Her research interest is in human-computer interaction, particularly the evaluation of interactive system design and user experience design. Her research works include evaluation on websites, virtual reality applications, mobile application for children with learning difficulties. Currently, she's a member in Ta'aruf Reconceptualization and Murabi Task Forces, and recently participated in the Competent Leaders Discussion organized by the MSD. She's also currently involved in the study of digital games funded by JAKIM, so it should be very interesting. So, Dr. Murni, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen that the ICT platform has really been pushed to the forefront. The analogy made by a friend of mine was that she doesn't know how to swim, and yet she's pushed into the river with this ICT during COVID-19. So how should ICT be utilized for the purpose of inculcating positive infodemic rather than the negative infodemic that we're seeing towards achieving IIUM vision? So Dr. Murni, the virtual floor is yours. And may I remind everybody that you can still post your question by typing your question through the YouTube platform. Somebody will monitor and pass it to me. If you have any questions. Dr. Murni, go ahead.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Thank you, Dr. Haniki. Respected Pantry Rector, Madam Zarina, who's organizing the session, respected panelists. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. I think we are so familiar with these pictures. These are pictures in my collection. We did the final year project together. We take pictures together. We discuss. We have fun. You know, we hug each other. We discuss face to face. Even there, my son climbing trees. This is what we call maybe the joy of working together. Interestingly, let me go to the next page. Okay, interestingly, or Alhamdulillah, or you know, whatever that we have, we bersyukur, whichever that Allah has given us. COVID came. We go to Zoom, we on mobile 24/7. The connection is become one of the most important thing. We click from one meeting to another meeting. We organize our event through WhatsApp. Indeed, this is what we have done, I think. For this forum, we organize through WhatsApp. And some of us, as mentioned just now, going from one meeting to another meeting, even overlap. Zoom on mobile phone, and then on the computer, maybe on Google Meet with another meeting. The overwhelm of wanting to be online to attend all the meetings, I think that is maybe taking the joy from us. Maybe we are losing our joy because of this technology. Because of this, the COVID came, technology come in to help us, to support us. Maybe we're losing joy. And is it truly joy we have? We have class online, on iTa'lim, we have to create content. We have to be, contacting our student to check on their well-being, prepare the device and everything. Is that joy? And like rightfully, but Dr. Hanika was mentioning just now, we are all ought to swim in the river or in the ocean that we are not familiar, and in the river, and the worst thing maybe, we don't know how to swim. How do we survive? All these things actually taken the joy out of us. And this technology came with a lot of issues, a lot of problems, a lot of fake news, a lot of addiction come in. We work on multiple devices. Infodemics. We are overwhelmed. We used to be brag about informasi di hujung jari. I used to be talking to my students, hey, it's really great that we can shop online, because going from one shop to another shop is just a click away. I was so proud to say that. But now I think because of the situation that we have, we suffer. And I think recently Zoom fatigue, screen fatigue has become into being. We are in it, right? But I think we have to reflect a little bit. We have to think a little bit. What is it, this technology that we use, that come to rescue during the pandemic, that enable us to shop, that enable us to buy groceries, and the groceries come to our doorstep? We have to reflect a little bit. In my reflection, when we're looking into the definition, the technology is helping us to be more efficient, to be faster, right? And the information technology is about helping us to store the information, doing the processing, doing the distribution of the information, so that those information can be accessible. So I think with this basic understanding of the technology, we ought to establish a new meaningful and sustainable relationship with the technology, because they are just enabler and they're just tools for us to move forward. So when come to this, the use of this technology, we are thinking, if it is an enabler, if it is a tools, what is the focus? Right? What is the focus here? So when we look around, when we try to look at into the humanizing technology, and we do have some discussion with some colleague, we really have to focus on the users or on the human. Okay, so the human and the technology has to have a symbiosis. We are the human, inculcate insan sejahtera, be higher, and of course at the other end, when we are talking about the technology, you have automation. We can name it artificial intelligence, robotics, data analytics, quantum computing, brain-computer interface, virtual reality, and the list will goes on. And I think just now when we did the future literacy, we have seen that a lot of things we can imagine is even out of our imagination. But of course, we have to keep imagining, because we cannot, unless we design the future, then we will be able to see the future. So in this particular context, when we talk about the human, I think it is really important that we human use the technology in a responsible way. And even I think it is highlighted in the World Economic Forum that using technology has to be, we have to be responsible in using the technology. They put under the title of responsible use of technology. And while out there, the developer, the industry who develop the application, who develop the system, must be thinking about what is the value of that particular technology that has been, that to be developed. So the function must have good purpose. So it is really important for us to internalize the human is the focus in this technology, not the technology. Human come first, the technology come later. So how we do it? This is some proposal. So for the developer, when they talk about designing, developing new application or new technology, be value sensitive. Be value sensitive. In our context, basically we are looking at, when we have the technology, we want to think about to make us closer to Allah. Think about the technology that increasing our iman and our taqwa. We have a lot of mobile application, Quranic mobile application. Use that, do that, design that kind. Application that fulfill the maqasid, that handling the needs, the maslahah, something that not harmful, something not destructive. I think that is the value that we can put in the design that we have. And when we talk about this technology or the application, we have to think about how to make it sustainable, inculcate sejahtera. In my personal conception, when I'm talking about application that is sejahtera, that application that has good usability, user-friendly, does not create stress to the users, easily accessible, right? Everyone can use it. It make the users happy. It's creating good user experience. And the essence of this, we have to think about is developing the application with the human or the user in the center of their heart and also in the center of their mind. So empathy being focused to the users is the key, because the user first or the human first, then the technology. Right? So hopefully, if we hope that if developers are thinking along this, we could develop application that is more sustainable, more friendly, more empathy, more understanding towards the human. Right? So how about the other side? My interpretations or my conceptions about responsible use of technology from the human side, from the user side. When we use the technology, it has to be in line with the Islamic ethics. Be ethical. How many of us here get carried away, right? With the mobile device. Oftentimes, we see at meja makan, or we see during in the restaurant, for example, everyone in the family members is busy with the devices. Well, sometimes, we get carried away as well. And when we talk about the responsible use of technology, we have to think about how this technology support the maqasid al-Sharia, how it will support, how it will address the purpose of religion, the purpose of life, the purpose of our intellect, the purpose of our health and lineage. Right? And also, when we think about using this technology, it has to help us to do amar ma'ruf nahi munkar. We want to encourage people to do good. We want to encourage people not to do bad things. This is the essence of the technology when we use them, right? Also, I think it is really important when we reflect from the Surah Al-As, when we use this technology, used for advising each other to the truth and advise each other to the patient. Berpesan-pesan kepada kebenaran dan berpesan-pesan kepada kesabaran. Right? Of course, technology has effect, ada impact dia, teknologi ni. So we as human, we have to be resilient. We have to use it for the good cause. We have to take care of ourselves. Okay? not to be pressured by the negative or external influence. Sedih, I think, lately, because we long for the like in the Facebook, in the IG, for example, right? And I think when we think about the technology in the context of joy working together, we use it to be connected, not to be addicted, which sometimes I think this is what happened to us. And I think I would like to acknowledge the contribution of Dr. Azlan, because he helped me in discussing about some of the points that we have here. So these are the two parts where we think about, how the developers developing the technology has to be thinking about the function and the purpose with guidance. Similarly, from the user side or from the human side, use the technology responsibly. Right? Looking at the current context of us, I think just now we reflect that even the whole forum here that we have at the moment, some in Kuantan, some in KL, some in some other countries, even Anissa from Dubai and Shakir from Bangladesh, and so on and so forth. There are so many applications available, right? There are so many applications available. Because there are so many applications available, I think to sustain the joy, we have to decide which one. We have to decide which one. Sometimes I'm very sure we experience this. One organization kata guna WebEx, the other organization kata pakai Zoom, the other one kata pakai Google Meet, the other one pula nak pakai MS Team. Okay, I think it's okay because that's coming from other, from the external. But maybe to help the IIUM community to sustain working together, joyful in working together, maybe you have to choose one or two, or encourage to choose. Otherwise, this is the issues with automation, and this is the issues of technology. Otherwise, our data will be distributed everywhere. Some in WhatsApp, some in Telegram, some in what is the recent one? Signal, right? And then many others. Okay, so that also can create a lot of stress, kan? Because for myself, for example, when I'm doing meeting with the HCI Society, I have to go to Slack. And then for classes, for example, I go to Google Meet. There is another meeting with CPS, for example, we are using Microsoft Teams. And recently, I just learned that in Google Space, actually, we have current. So, how do we manage that? Maybe if we have too many, then, the joy will decrease. So, yeah, we have to decide. For our organization, maybe at least. Okay? But as we discussed in the future literacy just now, we don't know what kind of future will be coming. Technology will change. Technology will advance. But we are grounded. The human is grounded. We have the basis. We know what is the purpose that Allah sent us to this world. We are the Khalifa of this world. Technology will come. So I would like to propose, as they come, we embrace them within the limits, within what is permissible, in line with Islamic teaching, according to Maqasid Ash-Sharia. Right? And we become resilient with it. We know how to handle them. Not the technology, conquer us. I just would like to reflect a very interesting experience. I think recently the MTE have the exhibition online. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was kind of really cool, because just from your table you can actually attend the exhibition and then look at to the different stall and the different product that being exhibited. We embrace technology. I think that is my proposal. So it does not matter what the technology out there, available out there. We still enjoy. We will enjoy. We will have the joy working together. During Ta'aruf week, we do all the session online. We had a lot of fun. We invite our friends to come to our session and then give talk. Our usra has been online. It's okay. We normally been encouraged by our dean, for example, in the context of KICT, our dean always, Prof. Wahab said, hey, switch on your video lah, so I can see you. That is, creating the connection. In the class, right? In the class, we do this as well. Allahu alam what the future will look like, right? 19 years from now, maybe not that really far as suggested or proposed by Dr. Siti Zainab just now. Taklah jauh sangat, taklah dekat sangat. Cukup-cukuplah 20 years agaknya. But insyaAllah, siapa yang 50s macam saya dengan Dr. Haniki will be around 70s during that time. Semoga, we are healthy and then we'll be able to see what is the changes. But the future of IIUM, of the joy for working together, is being designed. Our rector and the team, working really hard, and everyone should contribute to that. So I think does not matter before, is it right now or in future, our joy working together is grounded in the value of technology and the value that we hold in our hand and how we actually embrace and use the technology in a responsible manner. So I think, Dr. Haniki, that is my take in addressing your questions, how this COVID situation, how the IT is really coming, the technology come into place. Is it, helping us? Is it ruining us? I think we can answer that questions on our own. So I hope that is actually, helping and addressing your question, Dr. Haniki. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah khairan katsira, Dr. Murni. Indeed, you answered the questions very well. I like the part when you said, embrace the technology in line with the Islamic teaching, the Maqasid Sharia, but we have to become resilient. We must not let the technology control us. That's very powerful reminders. Thank you so much. So it's my pleasure now to move on to the last but not least, the best for last, inshallah. Our very own Dr. Faiz Matahi. He's currently serving at the IIUM Indramayu Kota Campus Pahang as a lecturer and a psychiatrist. He received his medical degree from IIUM and continued his postgraduate training in psychiatry at UKM, Cheras, KL. He's passionate about mental health education to the public and also healthcare professionals, especially issues related to mood, anxiety, and psychotic disorders and substance misuse. He's currently the World Psychiatric Association Psychotherapy Section co-leader for special interest groups in cultural adaptations of motivational interviewing. Apart from being guest speakers at local events related to quit smoking services, he also conducts workshops for healthcare professionals interested in individuals attempting to quit. He has special interest in assisting individuals explore and realize the potential for continuous personal growth. So, Dr. Faiz, the question I have for you, what are the life skills and also other factors needed or involved to promote the joy of working together in IIUM? Dr. Faiz, the virtual floor is yours.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Haniki. I hope the sound is clear because it's a new headset, especially for this, inshallah. I also came down to Dr. Siti Zainab's room to show the joy of working together for this forum, inshallah. So, Honorable Tan Sri Rector, Deans, Directors, respected fellow panelists, distinguished guests, I'm very terkesima dengan persembahan panelis-panelis yang sangat hebat. I understand that we're pressed for time. So dengan izin, moderator, Prof. Haniki, if I can just interchange between English and Malay at any point of time, inshallah, would that be okay? Inshallah. Right. So the question is life skills, the other factors to promote joy and working together. It's a good thing that I don't know how to swim well, so I won't use that analogy, but I do know to eat well, right? So we'll use maybe chendol as an analogy, right? Chendol. So what is this chendol that we want so that we have joy working together. So I have 3 ingredients. So just like cendol, the main ingredient would be cendol, would be the green thing, the santan, and also the gula melaka or gula kabung, whichever that you like. Right. So I'll be giving you 3 ingredients how to have joy in working together, inshallah. Right. Now, I'm just going to draw you to a perspective of mine, experience, a humble, limited experience from my personal life story, from patients' life story that we see, and also from others you see from Facebook, from social media, and more. And I have concocted that into a brew that we will share, just a short story to understand what the meaning of joy of working together is. Right. So, I always see patients or individuals who come to the service with having depression and anxiety, right? There's no joy there, obviously, okay? And they can't work, they can't work. And we dig further, they will say that I can't work together, they can work, but they can't work together with other people. And when you dig in further, they will say that, I can't work together in a certain situation. I can't work together in a certain condition. I can't work together with certain people. All right. So it's not that they can't work. They can. It's just that some conditions or factors are actually making them not optimal in that sense. But, the thing is, if we do not cater that at the initial stage, then it will go on to severe anxiety, will go on to severe depression, and it can cause stress, distress, and also leads to impairment, right? So there is no joy of working anymore, and there is let alone joy of working together. So how do we actually rectify this? Okay, because again, if you don't catch this early, then the Jerry, G-E-R-I, will be affected. The jasmani, the emosi, the rohani, and also the intellect. And we see all this. We see colleagues, we see subordinates, we see managers, middle managers having their Jerry affected. I give credit to Tan Sri Rector for that Jerry. Okay, so what do we need to do? What are the ingredients? So in short, I know we're pressing for time. So in short, the ingredients I present to you. Number 1 is the communication skills. Okay, number 1. Number 2 would be the assertiveness, and number 3 would be resilience. Okay, in no particular order, but we're just going to touch in there. Now, before we go to the ingredients, we will see what is the matter at hand. The matter at hand is number 1. In an organization, there will be conflict, workplace conflict, as we call it. Okay, between a person and the manager, a person and his peers or colleagues, a person with his job, meaning that he's not, the role of his job is not clear. And this is also a problem which commonly see. They say, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure what my job is. Someone is also doing my job. I'm also doing the same thing. So all these kind of things. So the role is unclear. And it also causes stress and also conflict at the workplace. Inadequate training. They're supposed to do something, but they are not adequately trained. And then an effect of increased workload occurs, unrealistic needs and expectations occurs, personality differences and clashes. This is very, very common. We do sometimes have difficulties in working with certain people for personality things or personality differences, attitude, working styles, leadership styles, so on and so forth. And also, of course, there's unresolved workplace issues, things that has been carried forward for many, many weeks, months, or years. And these are the things that we need to look into so that we could reintroduce or introduce joy into the workplace. As long as these things are here, you can still enjoy, but maybe not optimal, perhaps. Okay, this is my opinion. So one of the things that is important to understand at the workplace is about the knowledge and skills of managing emotions and stress. Okay, we assume that everybody knows how to manage emotions. We assume that everybody knows how to manage stress, but in actual fact, when we try to look back, not backcasting, Prof. When we try to look back, we say, when was the last time that I really was trained in emotions or trained in stress management? I mean, when you think about it, no, it's about learning it as we go on, and hopefully we learn the right things and we don't learn the wrong things. So these are the things that we might want to look into in order for us to experience more joy in life. So I'll just go straight to the ingredients. So ingredient number one is communication skills. As we are well aware that communication skills can be either divided into verbal, non-verbal, listening, and also thinking, or some people would just divide into verbal, non-verbal, and written communication skills. I'm just going to go straight to what are the benefits of effective communication skills. Okay, so number one is we are more readily able to overcome obstacles. We are able to foster trust. Trust is very important. Okay, that Dr. Anissa and Dr. Siti Zainab mentioned just now about trust and safety. We're able to establish professionalism at the workplace, have better networking, sustainable relationships, and also we were able to engage much higher. Right. So as a Malay saying goes, berkawan biar beribu, bercinta biar satu. Sorry, that's an echo. So bercinta biar satu. Echo here. Right. So ingredient number one, communication skills. Ingredient number two, okay, in no particular order, the santan, which is the assertiveness. Now, assertiveness is something which, when I see patients, assertiveness is not there. It's not well developed. I mean, probably it's not learned, and people get into trouble because they're not assertive, right? So assertiveness is just basically standing up for one's own rights in a respectful manner. We have to be very respectful, all right? So assertiveness is in the middle, if you can imagine that. And on this side is aggressiveness, on this side is passiveness. So if people are not assertive, they will either be aggressive, this is what I want and I want it today, or they will be passive. Okay, you can have what you want. I'm just going to give way to you. So if we want a balance, we should be assertive, meaning to say that our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, you would say that, not out loud, but you say that, my thoughts, beliefs, and values are important, and so are yours. So can we discuss to try to achieve to an agreement? Okay, that's the saying of agreeing to disagree, and I believe very, very deeply in that. All right. So assertiveness. So those people who are not assertive, like probably the individuals that we treat or the patients that we treat, they would have a diminished self-esteem, right? They would have unspoken resentment. They would have unmet needs, and it would be manifested by kerja tak puas. Apa tak puas? Tak tahu. Nak cakap, when they want to express it, they can't express it. And I just don't know. I just don't know what to say. Or rasa tak guna kerja, datang kerja, come to work also no good, stay at home no good, work from home also no good. Everything no good, because sometimes not assertive, right? So again, I'll just repeat that assertiveness is standing for one's own right in a respectful manner, and we do not violate other people's right. Okay. So for those people who are asking, how to become assertive? How to become assertive? I don't really know how. So basically, if you don't know how, the simple way is to look at number one is either you join the Asia ataupun MAS, where you see the air hostess and hostesses are very assertive. Excuse me, we're taking off. Please fasten your seatbelts and lift up your blind and also your tray to simpan balik. Being assertive, we don't argue with them, they don't argue with us. So that's a simple way of looking at what assertiveness is. Now, the last ingredient, last but not least, gula melaka ataupun gula kabung, whichever you like, as long as it is not gula pasir or gula kasar, right? Is being resilient. I think resilience has been mentioned earlier on by the other panelists. What we see as resilience, the definition is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. Once you have conflict at work, I know you cannot avoid conflict. In fact, conflict at work is good. It's good in a way that there will be a positive discussion from that conflict. Okay, it's not something which is totally negative. So resilience, when somebody kena marah, when you get scolded, or somebody, some bad things or negative happens out of one's control, other people's control, they're able to bounce back. They don't take it to heart. They don't take it deeply. They don't have resentment. Of course, personalities differ, but hopefully all the staff of IUM are well trained in terms of assertiveness, in terms of resilience, where, okay, something bad happened, and but now we're cool, okay, we're fine, okay. But if this happens over and over again, this is where some action or remedial needs to be taken. So resilience covers about health, right, composure, collaboration, reasoning, tenacity, and vision. I won't go in detail of it Right, I think we're coming to an end. Okay, coming to an end. I'll just quote someone. But I'll see whether you can teka who that someone is. I fear no one, but I respect everyone. This is a clue. This is not the watch. Okay, Prof. Aniki maybe forgot. It's Roger Federer. Roger Federer, duta jam tangan. Saya lupa jam tangan apa. I forgot. Sorry, I'm not very avid fan of tennis. Please. Rolex.
Rolex, is it?
Yeah, I think so. It's Rolex. I don't have a Rolex. This is just some pasar malam watch. Don't worry. Okay. So to end this, when we want to create joy at the workplace, we have to look at things that might not help in creating joy. So we want to undo that, or the work conflict. We want to optimize the working condition. Okay. We want something about safety and trust, which I think Dr. Anissa mentioned earlier on. Safety and trust. If you don't feel safe at work, you don't trust people at work, then that joy might not be there. Okay. With safety and trust established, hopefully there will be a shared mindset. And with that shared mindset, we can move forward together, inshallah. Right? So the joy should be derived from giving rather than receiving. Jangan tunggu nak bagi kita bahagia ke orang lain dulu. Right? So, do we want to be the best? Do we want to lead the way? Okay. So the question is, who is the best Muslim? And from the hadith, we know from the hadith, the best Muslim is he from whose hand and tongue the Muslims and other Muslims are safe. In another hadith, the best of people are those who are best in fulfilling rights. So we want to reflect that upon us. Are we actually making other people's work easier or more difficult? And the other hadith, the best of people are those that bring most benefit to the rest of mankind. So if we cannot give to the rest of mankind, at least we can give to the rest of IIUM, inshallah. And last but not least, I end with the verse 112 from Surah Ali Imran. Hold firmly to the rope of Allah all together and do not become divided, inshallah. So with that, I pass it back to you, Prof. Aniki. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dr. Faiz, Jazakallah khairan katsira for the wonderful explanation regarding the components of the cendol. Very testing time during the fasting month of Ramadan, but we are resilient, inshallah. We can wait until iftar when we go and have the cendol later. According to the schedule, we're supposed to end at 11:40. So we actually do have some questions posted by our audience. Thank you so much for the questions. If you would allow me 1 or 2 minutes, I would like to post these questions, which I feel very important. Maybe the first one to Dr. Muhammad Noor regarding how do we reintroduce so that the students and the staff would see the relevance of the IIUM vision and missions. Dr. Muhammad Noor, can you very quickly address this? Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Aniki. I think at the moment, we have many platforms for us to communicate those messages to our students and staff. One of the best platform for us to talk to our staff, academic and administrative staff is during the Ibadah camp. I think during the Ibadah camp, we are not very much looking into that questions. And perhaps in every Ibadah camp session where we sit together, reflect together, discuss together is the best avenue with obviously an appropriate module as well. It has to be in a discussion so that we can internalize, we can really understand what was written on the document, not just simply going through one by one and that's it. And for students as well, I think there are many opportunities as well. I'm not so much, if we can talk to our lecturers and the lecturers can include in their lectures in classes, that will be great. And at the same time, I think we should empower our student society, our student clubs. so that they themselves is able to understand and able to communicate the same message to their fellow friends. I think that is more effective, and I would say this is what we are doing at the Kuliah at the moment. We rebrand our students' organization. We want them to understand the mission or vision of the university and the Kuliah, and we want them to talk to their fellow friends in the 21st century way, because sometimes the way we talk to them, they may not be able to get it. And when their friends are talking to them, their leaders are talking to them, things are going to be smoother. So I think it is a must for us, because even myself, if we are not having, in the past 2 years when we were in office, start to, each time we want to plan something for the Kuliah, we have to look back at the mission and vision of the university, so that we are not going off from that document. I myself may not also have good understanding of the mission and vision of the university. I think that my take, Dr. Haneki. Over to you.
Thank you so much. There are also comments by Dr. Hamidun saying that the philosophy, the history should also be emphasized in accordance to the vision and mission, and I do agree, Dr. Hamidun. Thank you so much. Another question is actually from our very own Tan Sri Rector. The first question that was asked to Dr. Murni. Okay, thinking about the gadgets, the ICT in the past versus present. So has it enriched our life since the newer generation had never lived without it? So can you comment on that, Dr. Murni? Does it bring joy or bring more pain if we are not using technology?
MashaAllah,
Dr.
thanks
Murni?
very much, Tan Sri. I always known as a people. Hugging, salam, talking face to face. I think nothing can replace this. Maybe in future technology with the virtual reality, maybe that this could possible. Even some of the technology as is being tested at the moment. But in my personal opinion, we are responsible for the joy that we have. Does not matter whether through the technology or any other intermediary. I think we have the right to have the joy. For me, for example, I have my daughter working in the UK, so through video conference and call, hearing the voice is the joy. So I think with that, because of whatever situation right now, don't allow it to take our joy from us. We create the joy, we embrace the technology, and then we create the joy for ourselves. I think this is exactly just now Dr. Faiz was mentioning. Kita cari dia, insyaAllah. So, I mean, that's my personal take on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murni. As mentioned before, we don't let the technology controls us. We control to our best ability according to Maqasid Syariah. And another question also by Tan Sri Rector. In the academia, the culture of working is also individualistic rather than sharing in outdoing others. Okay, the culture is in IUN from your experience. Okay, so who wants to answer this question? If I may start, I would say my experience is very different from my previous experience. Tan Sri Rector should know because I was in the same university with him. Here, I found the culture is very open, very welcoming, very helping. And Alhamdulillah, when Tan Sri came, he introduced the flagship as a platform to break the silos within the Kuliah and also among the Kuliah. So Alhamdulillah for that. And now there are so many, as mentioned by Dr. Siti Zainab, there are so many flagships and we are still working together. And now we want to have interprofessional collaboration, not only among the staff, but also academic staff, but also with other staff. So we're all working together. So inshallah, with more breaking of silos in mind and in planning, so we can reach our goal of 2040 and beyond. So maybe others want to add on that, please.
Prof. Aniki, if I can share my experience when I was
Go
at RMC, Tan Sri, with regard the individualistic research culture, it seems that that does not happen from my perception at IIUM. But I can see that most of the lecturer, they form their research group interest. So mostly when we receive application for research grant at RMC, Tan Sri, it seems that there are certain active research grant, research group, and there are some who are not. But it seems that they work in team of the same interest. That is my feedback, Tan Sri.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sitis. Indeed, when we work together with people of similar interests and minds, it's joyful. It's a passion. It's not work, actually. It's fun. It's something that we aspire to do. Okay, so is there any other question that I missed? Dato' Hamidun asked a question directly to Dr. Siti. What's the function of Iqra behavior in enhancing psychological resilience? Maybe this is one of the weaknesses in our environment. Dr. Siti, you want to touch on that?
Okay. I think I tend to agree with Dato' Hamidun, Ustaz Hamidun, that this is actually Iqra behavior is one of the greatest challenge, I guess. Because if you want to perform your work, say for example, you are in the financial departments, you need to understand all the policies and procedures. When you are at MSD, for example, you have to understand all the rules and regulations about HR. And all those things, all the policies and the regulations, all those things are all in the very thick book, but you need to digest it. Okay, so it appears that nowadays the culture of reading, nombor satu. Nombor dua, internalizing what is meant by respective circulars ataupun policies is absent. Because of what? When you do not read, you do not understand. When you do not understand, you could not internalize what is the moral of the policies that are introduced. So I agree with Dato' Hamidun. This is one of the challenge that if we want to go far, we need to go to the basic, read. That is my answer to Dato' Hamidun.
Okay. In the last 1 minute, we're going to end. So I'd like to hear closing remarks from Dr. Faiz, if he can give his whole perspective on the forum today.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Aniki. I wasn't expecting that. Inshallah, I think the whole forum is something which is very, very beneficial. You're talking about an emotion at work, which people seldom talk about. People just talk about get your job done, do it at all costs, up to you, all these kind of things. But we are actually really trying to deliver the message that an emotion, a positive emotion, is something important, and this is what will drive the university, which will drive the organization to greater heights. So this is, I think, it's amazing opportunity. Thank you very much to the organizers. Thank you, Madam Zarina. I can't thank everyone enough. So that's my closing remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Faiz. I think he put it succinctly and distinctly and very well that we'd like to thank everybody from the esteemed panelists, including himself, and also Madam Zarina for organizing this. And on behalf of all of us, we'd like to apologize for any shortcomings at our end. It's not intentional. We hope the sharing has been beneficial. It's all for the sake of ibadah. And we hope that in this Ramadan, we can reap the rewards as much as possible for the hereafter, inshallah. So please stay on, because after this forum, the workshop session will continue. And I pass back to the MC, Madam Zarina. With that, Jazakallah khairan katsira. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Aniki and every single speaker. Because we don't have a lot of time, I just want to thank every single panelist. It was an amazing, we got an email from a listener who she was listening, and she wrote and she said it was a great, she's enjoying the forum so much. and she asked for a feedback form, and she wanted to sort of try and get the Zoom link, but I don't know whether she can register at the 11th hour. But we're very grateful to all of you, and of course to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will now very quickly, please don't leave, everyone. Please don't leave. We've got all the facilitators worked really hard to manage their groups. There were 6 groups, and on average, one group had 9 to 7 participants. And they came from all over Kurnia, PMA, ASA, and Kesatu. So without further ado, I'm going to leave it to Anissa. Would you like to invite them, or shall I just do it? Okay. So group number 1, are you ready? Group number 1, Razera. Sila, please feel free berbahasa Melayu, berbahasa Malaysia. Tak ada masalah, boleh campur-campur, no problem.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Madam Zarina and the rest of the panelists. I'm representing, can you hear me, right? I'm representing
Yes, we can hear you.
Room 1. Yes, we have a very fruitful discussion and everybody are very enthusiastic to share their 25 to 30 years experience working in IIUM. And you can see I'm referring to the Miro board. As you can see, the topic is breaking the silos and eradicating asobia. Our facilitator is Dr. Yasir and Dr. Irwan, and we have a very sweet note taker, Sister Hanan. And how many minutes?
You have about 3 minutes.
Okay. What I can summarize is that based on our past experience, that I think most of us were having the same thought that we are missing there's certain program that we have been established a few years back. This is pre-COVID, especially the IEEP. It was called IOP, a family day, then IEP, then IEEP, whereby we will arrange a conduct event with our own family, so that not only we know our staff, but also we know their spouses, their children, since their very young age until the children are now, some of them are getting married. So I think there is a huge so-called gap between the previous generation of staff and the new one, because when we were talking, what we were saying about the very memorable IEP, because for example, when macam saya lah, like myself, I've been in 25 years, I've been a 6 kuliah, so I know all the 6 kuliah staff members and their families. So, and when it comes to the wedding of their children, you can imagine how many cards that I will receive, because and you know, if we cannot attend this wedding ceremony of the children of this kuliah and the other kuliah, and people will call and say, why you cannot come, that kind of ukhuwah, we are missing that. And there is one interesting story from our staff here, that she just returned from her study leave, PhD, and being a very new person in this grand IIUM, because when they are outside, people are talking that IIUM is very grand. So when we are part of this grand university, there are certain things that for example, we are new that we don't know who shall we refer to. For example, I want to do this research, but who shall I contact at the kuliah? Who shall I contact at the RMC? And there is also a very touching story about her, that how she struggled during when she did her research with her family issue, and also I'm glad because she's a very strong person, and she almost gave up her research grant, but because of there's someone in her kuliah with this a very, you call it, a strong ukhuwah personality, that they know that our staff here has a trouble. You know, we cannot just take it lightly. For example, we have a certain person, certain people that when they see all this kind of form, you know, when I was in MSD in year 2000, in 1990s, you can know if you want to fill the promotion form, how many pages you have to fill. So we have that kind of a phobia of even filling up the form. We need someone that have been in that kind of a situation. Okay, don't worry, I can help you doing how to fill up the form. So that kind of bonding, I think, kind of losing a bit. And we have also some of the suggestion that um, we need to move forward to the holacracy management, and there are also comments from members that because they suddenly we see quite a number of new officers, new departments, new directors, and even we don't know, oh, we have this kind of director, we have this new office, uh, and we do not know what the function of this office. So perhaps we need to reduce that kind new officers, or with these new director, not new director, directors positions. Okay. And another interesting fact is about the mental health. Yes, we cannot just sweep things under the carpet, because we have an increasing numbers of the mental health cases among not only the students but also the staff. We have cases whereby staff are no longer happy working in this university. Why? Is it because of the environment? Is it because of the relationship among the colleagues, or the top and bottom? Alhamdulillah, we have the task force on mental health, and I'm sure they are working very hard to look into this kind of very serious mental health issues. Next is, okay, one of our staff here tulis apa ni, yang pegang jawatan utamakan, okay, yang pegang jawatan banyak utamakan kroni, bukan kroni malas nak campur, lebih baik menyendiri. So because they see that, don't nampak the certain thing, asyik kroni dia je, they use the word kroni, mungkin kawan baik ke, klik ke kan, yang asyik dapat dia je dapat. Contoh lah this kind of program, when we arrange the program, balik-balik orang tu juga, so orang lain tak dapat peluang. Macam itulah dia punya pandangan lah. Next is okay, we need to have more Islamic element in our management, because our university is very unique, and but now kita macam terkejar-kejar, sehingga elemen yang murni itu macam terkebelakang. Also okay, English. since we are the International Islamic University, we deal with many counterpart in globally. So we need to enhance the English language among our, especially among our support staff. Because sometimes kat sini dia tulis miscommunication because of the language barrier between the technical team and the academic. So itu yang menjadikan kerenggangan di situ ya. Okay, another one is about we are too dependent to our government for the financial part, but we would like to suggest because we have our own subsidiary companies, the IM Holdings, but when we check on the annual report, the one, I mean, whatever the from the subsidiary companies is not as what we expect. So I think we need to also focus on that, and also sebabnya bila okay sekarang ni semua everybody kena generate income, tapi source of income tu memang come from the government, and then just a few percent from the holdings, and also our reserve kita pun nak habis. And so memang we need to in terms for example kalau we want to use the grant, research grant, so kita kena lebih banyak we need to enhance, to emphasize on the networking. So bawa banyak more investors to our university, and I think dia lebih pada yang networking tadi tu lah ya.
You have 1 minute left, huh? 1 minute.
1 minute left, okay. There is one comment from members, no more kuliah or faculty please. And also staff movement, or right now what MSD is doing is the joint appointment, whereby the staff will be stationed in one place for a few months or few years, and then it's good if the staffing movement will be in what you call it frequently, except for certain special position that we need nak tak nak memang the staff need to be there lah, and macam very not regular for the person to be transferred or to be moved up from that division because of the certain element tu kan. But we would like to suggest yang lain-lain tu, especially yang guna sama ya, common user, to be rotate to the division between 3 to 5 years, and at this when there is this movement punya planning ni, we need a full support from the dean and the director, because what we usually face when we want to transfer out the staff, the head of department sometimes reluctant to let the staff goes, but the head of department also need to know that the staff have been there for about 10 years, 20 years, and sometimes they've been too complacent, or they have been in that department too long, so there's not much exposure for the staff, and so the career path tu macam agak sukar lah for that person kan.
Yes, thank you so much, Puan Razera, for your presentation. I need to move on to group 2 now. And that is going to have to be your last sentence. Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khair. Can I please invite Brother Shakil from group 2? I was hoping that the presentation would come from a group member, but it doesn't like it. But it was a very warm, bubbly discussion because I was in and out. Please, Dr. Shakil.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'll say yeah, I did tell my teammates if I miss out anything, they can always add on, but I'll just share what we did. So basically, our topic was like measuring success, right? Measuring our outputs beyond KPIs and KIPs in the future. So what will the future look like when it comes to like how we measure our outputs and success in the university? And of course, one radical idea from the get-go is that there will be no KPIs in the future. Right? Instead of being instead of measuring outcomes, we'll measure processes. And I think one of the ideas was shared around GMH, this idea of goals, methods, and habits, and something that's similar to that is this Baraka way of measuring productivity, which takes the long-term view of life and helping to think about the short-term view. So instead of focusing on like the number of research articles and all that, it's really about the habits you gather and the processes that you do, right? So for example, reaching out to, if you're fundraising, then you're looking at what do you do to fundraise, right? You're reaching out to investors every day, or you're like looking for pitching events, and those are the ways in which maybe success can be measured. Another way to measure success at the university is to look at social media and look at how many, whether there are positive comments about the research that the university is doing, how people are talking about the students. So looking at that. Of course, the flexibility of work. I think we are already appreciating this in terms of working from anywhere and transforming to this new normal is one other way of measuring success. We've also talked about this idea that that sometimes I think there might be staff which have degrees and all that, but there's no upward mobility of the staff, right? And sometimes the salary scheme may become stagnated accordingly. But then ideally in the future, there are much more opportunities for different ways of moving up the ladder, and as opposed to just a few positions. So accordingly, I think all staff are recognized in some way or the other, irrespective of their position and their contribution to something. So having said all that, we also looked at another way of thinking about success is whatever goals the university sets, we're able to achieve that. But here's another interesting one, that staff are willing to take on more challenges, pushing their boundaries. So not being in their comfort zone can also be another way of measuring success, as opposed to there might be a current barrier that sometimes staff set very easy KPI for themselves, so that's easily achieved. But then I think staff are also willing to take those risks and do it. But then all that is possible, I think, when it comes to a university where satisfaction and happiness is also a way of thinking about success, right? And I think when asked the group what does satisfaction mean, essentially is like when you wake up, there's no feeling of burden, or you don't feel that you don't want to do your work, right? You are just motivated and inspired to do what you want to do. And accordingly, they in that preferred future, there's more flexibility in how you can achieve that success, right? So of course, an academic may have 7 different tasks, but not like just focusing on one particular task as a way of success, that there's more independence of how they want to go about doing success. So it might not just be teaching, it might be community engagement. If not community engagement, it might be research, but essentially becomes a workplace where everyone can do what they want to do. And those were some things that we talked about success. So of course, what is helping us right now in order to get to this future? What are the pushes of the present? So some of the pushes of the present, even this whole idea of Baraka, like you can also look up the 7 principles to help you live a life of Baraka. And even this whole discourse that is going on regarding GMH, goals, methods, and habits, is a trend that can help us get there. Also, other alternative indicators of well-being, like gross national happiness, can also help us think about how do we think about measurements of satisfaction and well-being. What is helping right now is also open leadership. Good leadership is right now is helping us come to this space right now as we are like thinking about different ideas. And of course, during this time, staff has been encouraged to be creative, and staff have been creative during the pandemic, and there's been some good teamwork that's been going on. And I think leaders have also been able to be mentors. So that's also helping us move towards the future. What is also helping, of course, unfortunately, I mean, the virus is helping us in terms of being more flexible when it comes to technology. More online webinars and meetings are happening, and I think largely there's an increased attitude to learn, adopt, and adapt, and I think that's helping us move towards the future. And of course, AI, the whole university's interest in AI is also helping us move there.
Shakil, you have 1 minute. Sorry, you've got 1 minute. I've got 4 other groups waiting.
Of course, yeah, no worries. So I'll just wrap it up with the weights, the barriers, and the barriers, of course, are that it's difficult to go to the next level. Some staff are just complacent, just doing easy KPIs, not willing to take challenging tasks on. All staff and students don't have access to technology. That is a barrier. Sometimes strict government procedures become a barrier. Traditional HR policies. Sometimes staff not having a proper plan or career path is not helping, and this lack of skills and university not funding enough on soft skills development, or even making use of experienced staff in helping others in developing soft skills are some of the barriers. So what people want to do essentially is by themselves is that each person in the group also said that they can support with mentoring or coaching others, or promoting Baraka culture-based productivity, or sharing skills and all that. So knowing that each one of us also have a part to play and can play a part in moving towards this particular future. So thank you, Ms. Arena.
Most welcome. Can we please invite the third presentation from Dr. Shamsul? He will be representing ASA, room 3. And the topic is producing IM graduates who are vice students willing to serve Khalifa and Ubudiyah, not focused on being a factory and being economic centric. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Just a quick one. When we were tasked of looking at our students, we looked at what we want from our students. Some of the factors that we see currently, we've discussed this in many concepts under the university. Among others, we look at the students being very much with higher spirituality in terms of being a little bit looking beyond what we have now. We talked about having umatic view. We talked about having holding responsibility, taking responsibility, which falls under personality of the students. We also looked at some things like having higher respect, lesser racism if there are any. And then we looked at also improving their soft skills and hard skills. We understand that most students now are already knowledgeable in terms of the apps, the technology that we have now, but we understand that the future is also developing fast, and we need them to develop their minds in how to tackle things which are dynamic. And we also look at their backgrounds being the one of the most important stakeholders. Looking at the family, we want them to be stress-free. Excuse me. And then we looked at their background as being financially stable. So what can we do in terms of making them stress-free without having to think about whether they could eat for dinner or not? This would probably having covering that that will probably help them to become better students. We will also look at them getting involved in the community very much. In this sense, we are looking at Sejahtera mindset. We talked about some students are present in certain residential area, but their presence will not felt. So we feel that maybe there is something missing in our ways of disseminating knowledge to them. So probably we need to look at that. I'm sure in the university right now we are trying our best already to have our to shape our students. But I think, well, perhaps there are some loose ends we need to tie up. And I think we should be having, not I think, sorry, we think that they should be more environmentally aware in terms of the resources that they have, in terms of the world that they will be passing on to their children and our generations to come. So by having this kind of all stakeholders together, this is what we see how students should be in the future. So let's move on to the present situation. So when we look at the students now, there are a few things that I think should be focused on. The most interesting part is the nation building part. Love the country. I think not we sorry. We think that element needs to be emphasized more, but not taking away the ummah building factor in our education curriculum. Perhaps we need our lecturers to be more in touch with our students too, in order to disseminate all these values into their minds. And then we looked at factors from outside coming into their minds, which we probably think is relevant now is the K culture. As opposed to previously, we were talking about Western culture, budaya kuning and all that. But now it is more targeted to that area. Of course, there are good values and bad values, but there are, we think that there are more bad influences coming from that side in that sense. Also, we looked at how having this technology could also have bad and good influence to our students. By having technology, using the social media, can shape them in terms of how they speak, in terms of how they are opinionated on certain issues, but sometimes it can be a bit of terlebih. Okay. And then we looked at the factor on pandemic. Of course, like what we previously discussed, it will have a lot of negative impact. You are looking at not being able to communicate physically, and probably leads to issues like depression and isolation. And we are also looking at accessibility to education. Some of them are not having this access to education because of their family and their welfare. So, and which we need to look at and address that issues as well. Also, there's a pressure of getting jobs, because not all are from the well-to-do family or I mean, well, they are okay family, but there are people, students which are not. So sometimes they are being pressured to do extra jobs on the side. When we look at the past, there are some certain things that we think that which may have some influence on how our students believe. Among others, there could be a little bit of racial division or ideas in their mindset. And probably we need more cultural communication, not only between our ethnicity, not between our ethnic groups, but also much larger area, which I think internationalization is actually helping. If you sum up everything, we can see that it is possible to achieve what we want and how we see our students in the future, but we need to do a little bit of adjustment, and we need to take a lot of steps in addressing the current problems, so the future can be better for them. So I think that is only what I want to share, what we want to share today. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shamsul. You finished right on time on the spot, 12:21.
Thank you.
Jazakumullah khair. May I please invite Dr. Aida from Group 4.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We didn't have a note taker, right? So I'll just share my notes. Is that okay?
That's perfectly fine. Thank you, Dr. Aida. Go ahead. You'll be speaking about Waqaf University. Financial autonomy is a key. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So, okay, hang on. All right. So mine is what I've written is not so expressive as other people's notes. And hopefully I really am representing my group. Anyway, so our topic is about Waqaf University and talking about financial autonomy. And in summary is this, okay? What is it that we want for the university, the future of the university? And in relation to Waqaf University, and so unanimously everyone wants it 100% Waqaf. Tapi apa yang kita nampak is that it doesn't look like it's going to happen based on factors. And when we looked at the Waqaf University, what is it that we actually? So we need something to start with. So we need seed money, and then after that, we need to be able to stay. And how do we do this? And suggestions, some discussions. It was looking at how we can potong our gaji, staff. Because when we talk about what for its staff, the university for its student, and therefore we need to contribute to the university as well, not just the alumni, but also the staff. So some of the suggestions that we talk about is potong gaji and also contribution from alumni, because Waqaf University is talking about total autonomy. I mean, that's what we want, a total autonomy. If you saw, we wanted 100% autonomy. And then after that, of course, we need to sustain it. All right, and then if we
I think, while she settles the internet problem, or she's trying to, Aida, we're having problems listening to you. The connection isn't very good. Dr. Aida, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but it's good for a while, and then later it gets really choppy.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because I'm in the hospital. The signal is very bad. Where did I stop? I also don't put them when I stop. Anyway, okay, so we were looking at the triangle, or my version of the triangle. Can you still see my screen though?
Yes, we can see your screen. Yeah, we can see your screen. Very nice. Very authentic.
Right. So, okay, so when we're talking about Waqaf University, okay, so we agreed 100%. We want it, if possible, 100% Waqaf University, and we have full autonomy. But there are some factors that we need to look at, and I like to go with the down, whatever's pulling us down first. And because Waqaf University is such a concept that is so ideal, but I think to some maybe far-fetched, and kena ubah a lot of mindset, not just the students' mindset, but a lot of the staff mindset, because we are so used to with the culture of mendapat. And we have scholarships, we have dapat gaji tiap bulan, we have funds, to run our program and all that. And if we don't have funds, we have to write proposals and ask for more funds. And if you're lucky, you'll get it. So in order to move towards this Waqaf University, we have to have a lot of change of mindset. We did discuss how if a fully Waqaf University, could that bring down school fees and all that possible? And then, that would attract students to come.
Julia, tell us next.
Sorry. Okay. And again, based on history, it's very difficult to get autonomy because we have governments, and of course the government, most governments still want to have a finger in their pie. And education, if you see, education is from history. Education, or people who are involved in education, are usually the leaders. So so the jalan ke arah nak wakaf ni mungkin banyak duri-duri lah, duri-duri in terms of we might not still get full autonomy. We might still have people trying to bind us to legislations, right? And then and that could be the downfall, or maybe the challenges lah. There are some push and pull factors. One of the push factor, I guess, is COVID, a blessing in disguise actually, because from COVID we see some trends coming in, right? Because we are not allowed to go out, we are not allowed to socialize. So we see some trends that are emerging, you know, like online businesses, delivery of services, reliances on our information and technology, and of course, back to our alumnus and alumni and how they can help actually to market. So because of this trend currently, I think the way forward towards a Wakaf University is possible. People are not bound by being in the institution, so therefore cost of a program might be reduced because you don't have to maintain air conditioner or non-functioning chillers, you know. So you are able to upgrade your IT and then do like what we discussed during the you know, when we played the cards, where we can rely on virtual learning, you know. So that way mungkin boleh menyebabkan kita ke arah tu lah, because there is a reduction in cost.
Dr. Aida, you have 1 minute.
And
You have 1 minute.
right, okay. So all right, in the end, I think the workshop today is talking about are we able to then work happily with each other? Definitely, if this is smooth sailing, not like the kapal dalam the great ocean, you know, with the waves and all that. I mean, if this is something that everyone understands and everyone understands the importance of a Wakaf University, the mindset is changed, and not just our mindset, not just the students' mindset, but the government as well, or those who are in power to change. If their mindset changes, then inshallah that this is possible, and therefore definitely benefits the staff, student and community a lot. Well, that is our take on it. I hope I've mentioned everything that needs to be mentioned.
You did. Thank you so much. Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Aida. Can I now please invite Dr. Julia from Group 5? From Group 5, Dr. Aida Said, you'll be speaking on the relevant courses, research and curriculum, preserving academic freedom. Julia, Dr. Julia. We see the beautiful screen. Very nice. The notes, very, very neat. Faiz, you did a great job. Now we need someone to discuss it. Professor Ida, are you there? Professor Ida Madiha? Is Dr. Julia going to be presenting soon? If not, may I please invite Group 6, please? Can you unmute her, Doc? Okay, I'm so sorry, I can't find her. Can I please invite the last speaker to speak, Puan Suhaila from the library? She's from the PMA group, representing the library for room 6. Maaf, Puan Suhaila, can you speak up?
Okay.
Okay, there you are. Suhaila Marsidi, I can see you. Fantastic. Alhamdulillah. Sila, the floor is
Okay,
yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. We are from
Waalaikumsalam.
group 6. Our topic is humanizing, Islamizing technology. Are we slave to technology? And then thank you for our facilitator, Dr. Nur Anissa, and our note taker, Sister Amy Farhana. Okay, based on our discussion just now, okay, these are all the points that we gathered from our discussion. I might not be mention all the the information ataupun points gathered. I just only take some important points. Okay. Okay. So what are the future that we are looking at? Okay. So we are looking at the work happy in the new technology with the new technology environment with a better support system. Okay. Okay. What our we want to work better with the ecosystem, allowing for more flexible space. For example, work from home. That is the support that we need from the institution, because with the new technology, that they can allow us to work from home, and then there is also the university has no plans. The university have to give support, especially for the staff to work from home, especially for the working mothers. Okay, with the pandemic situation, when there is working mothers, when they want to send the kids to the child care center, and then sometimes the child care center don't allow the kids to be sent to the center because only because of the mild fever ataupun flu. Okay, so the university have to give support to the working mother and then allow this situation for them to work from home and so on. Okay, so wake of the past. I go to on the wake of the past. Okay, so IUM has no plans for a full digital learning platform before the pandemic. Okay, as we know, with COVID-19, it suddenly the university have to face with the current norm, the new norm with the online teaching and learning. Okay, so without the proper plan, we are some sort of like the macam terkejut. Okay, terkejut with the new norms and then the new situation, and then we have no proper plan and no preparation for that. And then when we have no preparation for that, then the budget constraint will come, because due to the no proper planning. Okay, and then many of the old minds in the university, and they are refused to change, because when we talk about the new technology, it require the changes in the mindset, and also change in our working operation and so on. Okay, what push us from the present? Okay, new generation of students require new learning ecosystem. Okay, and then there is a new learning ecosystem. It is fully digital. Now we are talking about new technology, means that new fully digital. And then the pandemic change user needs and services that has to be reviewed and revised. Okay, and then when we talk about the services to be revised and reviewed, for example, we talk about the library. For the library, for example, the library services provided by the library is more on the digital services, and then the content or the resources provided by the library also more on the digital contents. Okay, and then everyone in the community must be IT savvy, and then everyone must accept the changes. Okay, they cannot they cannot I mean enggan untuk menerima, kan. the changes with the IT application in the workplace. Okay, and then the university support is very much important, not only in the financial aspect but also in the emotional aspect. And then using technology to support, the university have to use the technology to support the working mother and then to balance between family and career. Just I said in the beginning, so the technology can be used for the staff to allow the staff to work from home, and still they can balance between to take care of the child and also completing their job. Okay, and then the ecosystem to be designed to be more supportive also. Okay, and then to cope with the current technology, it requires a lot of change. So are we ready for that? So means that change is we have to accept the change. Okay, and then supportive environment for the staff and family are no longer working in, and then we are no longer working in silo. Okay, and then um because of the IT, because to change to adapt with the new technology, we need of course need a lot of money. Okay, to need to be to be dilaburkan. Okay, the money need to dilaburkan untuk mengapply the technology in our daily operation. So for example, to the libraries. Okay, so the libraries, in order for the library to provide the contents that yang membolehkan the users and researchers doing their studies and research online or digitally, they may incur a lot of money because online contents is not cheap. And then so that means that the support from the management, the university management is very important in terms of that. So and then we also suggest that the we collect all the experts we have in the university, and then they support, and then they share their knowledge ataupun experience and whatever to the university or to other officers in term to cope with the new technologies environment. Contoh macam we have the IT expert from KICT or IT department or whatsoever, and then reach the other department yang memerlukan support ataupun training atau in term of the IT application in their office. This one also to reduce the our money allocation in term of training yang kita perlu hire orang luar to provide to us. Okay, I think that's all from Group 6. I hope I have represent all the ideas, and hopefully the others can add on. Maybe if the time is still permit. Okay, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Ya Allah. Terima kasih banyak Puan Suhaila. That was really, really good presentation. And sekarang, can I please invite Dr. Julia Said. Alhamdulillah, she's fixed the laptop and she would like to present on Group 5. And the theme is Relevant Courses, Research and Curriculum, Preserving Academic Freedom. Dr. Julia, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Madam Zarina. Sorry for that delay because I have a problem with my laptop. Okay, so quickly I'll just present what we have discussed among our group members. So we were given the topic relevant courses, research and curriculum, preserving academic freedom. I think unfortunately our discussion more on research and curriculum on preserving academic freedom, not so much on the relevant courses. So what we have gathered during our discussion is that what we are foreseeing in the future, which Vision 2050. All right, so we are foreseeing about freedom of expression. Everybody has a freedom to say what they need to say, but again, that freedom of expression comes with accountability and responsibility. So you have to be accountable for whatever you are saying, but again, that freedom is there. And then freedom of movement. Freedom of movement, I think, related to whatever other groups has saying, talking about working from home. So we have a vision in the future. Everybody can work from anywhere, both academic and admin staff. But of course, there is a debate about admin staff. So in terms of the functions, whether everybody can work from anywhere, or perhaps still some percentage need to have a physical office, to be in the organization to work, right? And then we have another vision: financial support. Financial support means limitless in terms of fund that we receive. If you want to have a research, you can just ask for the money will come to you. That is the vision in 2050, right? So macam bahasa ni kata tu, petik jari je terus dapat duit tu kan. And then advanced virtual technology with human soul. So we are in the future of 2050, especially for the engineering department, right? They are asking for, perhaps there are in the future you will have a very advanced technology that really speed up your research and really more in terms of helping the students to learn better, right? And then that lead back to the national lab. So national lab is for Malaysia, at least if Malaysia can come up with a national lab, it becomes a hub for R&D, whereby all researchers from all universities in Malaysia can gather and use that lab for their research. Of course, this national lab must have a very advanced equipment and technology, right? And then in terms of the what made this Vision 2050 maybe not possible. Number one, in terms of rules and regulation, we're talking about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, but we still have this outgo at national level. We have the acts that limit of our expression, and again, our social structure. So we are trained from kids, right? From our child or from our children, we also say that you have to, again, taat setia. You have to just follow, don't ask questions. So that's why you are not able to express to freely express your thought, right? Even you are not able to actually say no to a certain thing. And then culture of organization also a hinder to this freedom of speech, because in culture of organization, especially if you have your boss, right, and your performance going to be evaluated by the boss, so that will hinder in terms of how you want to express yourself. You are not able to actually say no, all right, to those boss, if for example you don't actually agree for whatever whatever they have done, all right. Inilah kita ada dia punya precautions dia penalty. You bising sikit, then you have a chop moho that you are suka buat bising, all right. And then perhaps in terms of national level, at university, if you always macam bangkang je the government, what will happen is that university will receive less budget. So that is the precaution. That's why that limit our freedom of expression. And then in terms of having advanced virtual technology and national hub, the problem, the hinder would be the limited budget. Okay, we have a money constraint. So of course, if you want to invest in those technology, you need lots of fund. So at the moment, having that limitation are not able for the university to actually purchase all those equipment. Okay, I was in the discussion, someone mentioned about an equipment in the engineering department. They're 15 years old, not really advanced. So how can you attract students to come to RUM if you don't have the latest equipment? All right. So that very, very crucial. And then because of dependency of the government's coffer, there is another limitation why we have a problem with financial. That is our main fund to support the running of the university, the government's coffer. And then in terms of problem with advanced technology and national help as well, the problem we have that perhaps will not realize those vision would be that Malaysia is not technologically resourceful. We do not actually manufacture those technical items or technical equipments. Most often we have to buy those equipment right from outside from the Western country. So and when you import those technology or those equipment, of course the cost gonna be so high, right? So because of that reason, we are not perhaps will hinder us from actually having that national lab as well as advanced virtual technology. And then another one is perhaps lack of culture of home garage. Like in the US, you have the home garage, whereby most not majority, but there are groups of people who actually have their garage at home where they make things, right? They manufacture cars, right? So those kind of thing will actually lead to perhaps having a national lab. To have you have that kind of mentality for science technology, then you are able to have national lab as well as advanced virtual technology. So the push factor, perhaps that will help this Vision 2050 to materialize is that number one is that experimental or adventurous soul. All right, like Tony Stark. I think everybody knows about the Iron Man movie, where you have Tony Stark, a very resourceful. Even in the cave, he can create some kind of a robot like the Iron Man suit in the cave with that limited resources, because he is experimental and very adventurous, right? And then the push factor another one is at present we have a very vast social media. You name it, we have Facebook, we have TikTok, we have Instagram. So those social media and the influencers actually provide a venue for us to express our thought more freely, because most often in social media you just say what you want to say without thinking thinking through. So that is in a way provide an avenue for freedom of expression. And then in terms of funding, now I think most universities are going for WACA funding as well as crowdfunding. So that is help to get some financial support. And then we have volunteerism, community engagement. That is again will help to achieve our Vision 2050, and all with currently we have all the disruptive technology like AI, machine learnings, all right, and then we have like robotics, right? Those kind of things will help again to have those national lab as well as advanced virtual technology, all right. And then health awareness. In order for us to achieve Vision 2050, everybody need to be healthy, all right. So now we are investing more on health. I think if you can see in the social media during this PKP, most people having sharing so many things that they do at home to be more healthy. And then also the most important, I think, as a push factor to achieve all this Vision 2050 is to have a reading culture. It is a must, because if you don't read, then how you can advance? So that is our group takes on this topic: relevant courses, research, and cultural curriculum preserving academic freedom. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Julia. Jazakumullah khair. It's really a wonderful presentation. Okay, Dr. Anissa.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. That was very good. Like, everybody can successfully talk about what they've done. For us, for me and Shakil from Maya, we are very pleased that you are able to use the Future Triangle to, analyze your situation, given the circumstances, what you guys are going through, how you might want to work things better. And we are very pleased to see how you're using it. Like, every group managed to, talk about the issues, talk about what holds them back, and some of the, they have a discussion about what are some of the pushes of the present. It just shows to us that, future literacy or future studies is something that everybody can use and everybody can do. I mean, you just take the very short while to introduce to you all, and all of you are on board. And I'm really happy to see that. And Shakir, over to you. Do you have anything to say just to wrap up?
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Anisa. Again, inspired by all the different findings that have been shared. I think this is a rich collection of findings. But then I think one thing to note that if you want to onboard more people in the university, I think sharing the findings and outputs is not enough. I think, and that's why even like getting them to also do a process like this, the process of them also thinking about the future can help them also become more onboarded with the ideas that you're discussing. Otherwise, just presenting the ideas may not get them on board. I think what we also wanted to show is that in order for think about the future, it has to be a collective conversation, right? It has to be something that we can create a safe space where we can talk to each other openly about what's working and what's not working. And again, I'll just remind ourselves that of Jim Dater's that second law, that any useful statement about the future should appear to be ridiculous. So please imagine ridiculous futures, and I hope that those futures will come true.
Yeah, I agree with Shakil, and we just talked about that in our group as well. So now that each of you understand and know how to use futures triangle, given that the workshop is really short, 1 hour, and you did so much already, can you imagine what you can do if you have a half a day workshop with your own department? I was telling the people from the library, they can actually use the futures triangle to properly analyze how they want to shape the way forward for the library. So every one of you who are here who has understood or who has managed to, join the discussion and saw how you can actually use the futures triangle to help you have a discussion, participatory futures, we call it. Shakir, thank you for bringing that up, the last bit there. Like everyone chimes in, everyone put in their idea, and that should be a safe space for us to share our thoughts, right? In the beginning, we were talking about metaphors. So everyone has a different idea about how the future is. And then if we were to do this exercise together, so we kind of understand where everybody is coming from, and that gives us, we understand our neighbor, the person next to us better, the people whom we work with better, and that gives us a very first good step of, being able to work as a team, create a better working environment. So the joy of working together. Yeah.
So Anissa, can I ask you a question? One question. How do we keep the momentum alive? And how do we translate? You see, this always happens during the workshop. There's so much rah-rah, the emotions are, because people feel it, they speak from their hearts, there's a lot of passion. But then it dies off, or it cannot be translated into action. The backcasting is missing. How do we keep the momentum up? How do we make sure that things happen? Because I can collect all the note takers' notes in the world, and then later they say, okay, let's publish it. Then that's it, Then it stops there.
Yeah. So yes, I think publication as all university very important. Yeah, okay, record this, publish that, but very good. Like in terms of practical implementation, I think what Shakil says also, this shouldn't stop here. This should, you should take this on back to your department, do it. And I think one way to keep this momentum going is every division, it could use this to help their planning. This is what I do with my MBA students. MBA students is like I introduce futures methodologies as part of the planning tool. With planning, we always think that, SWOT analysis, the only thing we know is SWOT analysis. The next thing is, okay, we forecast the number of students that come in next year. So all we do is forecasting and SWOT analysis, but we never done any environmental scanning. Okay, so one of the things that what we have just done is part of environmental scanning. It was not extensive because it's just an hour. And if you want to do it better, like the push of the present is an extensive environmental scanning tool that we also have, other than PESO, we do it more extensively, more systematically, and more thorough. So that way we give us an understanding of, okay, how are we as higher education, institution being affected or impacted by the changes that's all around us. Shakil.
Yeah, I mean, just very quickly, even in religion, in Islam, right? I think praying one time a day does not mean I can pray. It's not my prayer for all my life, right? And similarly, of course, one workshop is not enough, right? I mean, this workshop, if it produces a document, the document cannot be static and collect dust, right? It has to be a dynamic document, and maybe figuring out ways how how can you create rituals within your own organization of how to keep coming back to these processes, right? And of course, you will have new people coming in, them also being part of these processes as well. So actually trying to fork out time like every few months or 6 months, whatever your cycle is, but to come up with these processes in which the document is alive. And as you guys are learning more about new ideas about the future, people can add to the document. So it has to be always an ongoing live conversation. So the culture has to be futures oriented. Yeah.
Yeah, and futures. When you do this, Jim Data also said like you always vision and re-envision. Keep updating it, and which is so true. Like you have new people, new environmental move. The things are moving around us. So and we don't need to be like a strategic plan for 5 years, 10 years, and it's stuck there and stuck on the shelf. So how to make our plans more relevant. I think this is one way of making our plans more relevant, to hear from the people.
So when you have a strategic plan, you need to keep revisiting it, Shakil. You need to revisit, because everybody has a strategic plan and they're very proud of the strategic plan. And so they sometimes forget that they don't really know when do we revisit our strategic plan. We just did it yesterday. We just hired Boston Consulting Group, paid them 10 million ringgit for a plan for the Malaysian Education Blueprint. And then they say, okay, we've invested so much time, effort, we've hired the experts of the experts. And then, when does it when does it become a static document? When does it become when does it collect dust? Sometimes it's hard to tell. And even the corporate people say that they say, we've got our plan, and they think that's it. It's the visioning and the re-envisioning that is missing, and they don't know when to off the button, when to switch on. But you're saying it has to be an ongoing thing. You have to keep it alive. It's easy to say. I find it mind-boggling myself.
Yeah, I think it ought to be. It's a process that counts as us coming together, having a discussion, hearing from your members, hearing from the team. That gives us a renewed vision all the time. Like renew. Battle, isn't it? Like, what are we battling with? What are we struggling with every 6 months, maybe every year? Is to make it more regular every 6 months, just to check in with the group, like what are we struggling with? What are the weights that stop us from moving forward? And what are the changes that surround us? Every 6 months, new trends emerge, change. Some things, our practices change. Like COVID-19 keep changing our lives every 6 months. So
yeah. Also, I just want to share that we only shared one method today, right? The future triangle and metaphors of the future. But there are a lot of more methods out there as well, right? And I think, of course, the university can also develop its own new methods. It can also become researchers in futures thinking as well. But because I think sometimes maybe people might get bored if you keep using the same method, right? And I think, so even like yesterday, I was at a workshop, people were doing theater and acting out the future, right? So today we made stories and put it in the chat, but you can also act out, you can make songs. Like there are different ways in which you can engage with this. So I think even methodological novelty, keeping it fresh, can also, and that's why we try to play games, we try to create these different things so that it's also engaging for people.
Thank you so much. I think we have to let you both go. We really kept you all for so long. There is a feedback survey in the chat function posted by Eliana. If any one of you would like to fill it up, please do. Actually, we encourage it very much because your feedback provides guidance and we value it. Thank you so much, everyone. Forgive me if I did anything wrong. It's just been fun but stressful, and I was like multitasking and running around. Dr. Anissa, I think you've been brilliant, encouraging, patient, wonderful. Shakil, you too. And every other participant who is still online with us right now. It's 44. They haven't left for prayers or whatever. Thank you so much. Terima kasih semua banyak-banyak. Really thank you. And we got a lot of response, positive response, and emails. We got it directly to Tan Sri saying that they loved the workshop, Anissa and Shakil, and it was so beneficial, short and sweet. They want more. Inshallah, we'll do more. I hope there'll be many circles of this with Maya. I don't know, maybe every 3 months, I hope. Okay, if you all will have us. Maybe by then, they would have mastered the Miro board well. Okay, take care. Have a great day, great weekend. Great Ramadan. Assalamualaikum.